You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
Welcome everybody to We Have Issues, Geek Elite Media show that's about everything literary, books, comic books, webcomics, manga, and everything else you might be reading. We're here to talk about it. As always, I am your host, Keith, and I'm joined by my stalwart sidekick, who's always at my side, host, Sway.
Hey, and happy to report that I'm probably one of the last people, and if you haven't, just go do it, to actually get vaxxed. So that happened last Sunday, so that's why it feels like it was forever ago. Luckily to report, I didn't fall down with the sickness, but then I honestly, I didn't feel with anything. I felt like my arm was sore. Sure, I knew I had a shot. So she felt like she had like a dead arm the whole time. It was just like severely sore. But we didn't come down with the sickness. I'm kind of like, did they actually do it right? I hope they did it fucking right. I felt the shot going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm back to part 1. I'm hoping the next one comes down, in a couple of weeks. So I can safely go do stuff later.
Nice.
Yeah.
You kept saying down with the sickness, and I'm like...
Oh, yeah, no, not the song.
I was like, stop. So, awesome. Well, we are going to talk about all the books from this week. However, as always, talk about any news that we might have. And I don't have a lot this week. Just 2 things jumping out at me. The first thing is we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of Miles Morales.
Oh, damn. Nice.
Yeah. And so for the anniversary, Marvel is going to go back to the beginning, quote. They're going to release Miles Morales Marvel Tales. It's going to collect Miles' debut in Ultimate Fallout 4.
Oh, sick.
And Ultimate Comics Spider-Man 1 through 5. And it's only going to be $7.99.
Oh, damn. Oh, shit.
So $8 for 6 issues of comics.
That's actually really pretty cool. Like, right behind my Coraline doll is the Ultimate Comics Miles Morales Omnibus. Because I jumped on Miles Morales, like, to really collect the stuff. It was like during Secret Wars, so his actual 616 introduction to come over from that sign and make him permanent that way is when I started to really collect him. So I only have like sporadic issues from him when he was in his original universe, and man, that omnibus, I can't wait to actually read his shit from the start. So that's really cool, like, to actually start that way.
They're also going to do a series of variant covers across the Marvel releases, like they do sometimes when they do a theme character. So they're going to do a bunch of Miles Morales covers, which is cool. Ooh. And they're also going to release an oversized installment of the current Miles Morales Spider-Man series. So like the one you're reading, like an oversize. So
nice.
Pretty cool. Lots of good stuff. So the only other thing I wanted to mention, and this isn't news because everybody should know this by now, but what I need to know, Josue, and we haven't talked about this. We didn't prep this at all.
Yeah.
What did you think of that Eternals trailer?
Oh my god, dude. It was fucking awesome. Like, it sucks. I'm just like, I draw a blank and we just call him Paperboy. But when he's just like doing his shit
hey, he was the best part of Joker.
Yeah, no, he was. But god damn it, like, seeing him do like his thing, and it's like, oh my god, I'm so fucking excited for this fucking movie. Like, it's just like everything about this movie, like the shot with Black Knight, which was just there. Everything. It's gonna be magical. So when the ship just appears and it's like, oh, like, it already kind of felt, it did have that tone, that Marvel formula, but something about the way that ship appeared was just already different.
Yeah. I tell you, I really liked everything about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing I coming out of that, the thing I was not excited about that I'm actually kind of excited about is Barry Keoghan as oh my mind, something like oh my god, the bad guy one. God damn it, Droog. Thank you. Yeah, there was like brief shots of him, and I'm like, oh, he's fucking perfect.
Oh, really?
I'm like, oh. I got really excited about that. So
no, seeing Kumail dancing in that little like Bollywood-esque scene was like, oh my god, it just melted my heart. It was really cool. I'm very fucking excited for this movie. Again, it was one of those where it was just like, I was hopeful because this one's literally, it could have been set for Black Panther then, but this one for sure because it's just more in the weirdness. This is the MCU's next Guardians move, whereas like hopefully it fucking works because like Inhumans didn't, and this is like their next step towards that one because they're not really fucking with mutants yet. But oh my god, no! I can go off on the fucking trailer. It was just awesome,
and just visually, breathtaking.
Yeah,
just gorgeous. That's Chloe Zhao, man. That's what I'm telling you. When I saw Nomadland, I'm like, that's it. That's what this whole movie was, basically.
It wasn't until the end with like the shot. Eternal is like, oh fucking yeah! It is that director, and like yeah, I'm so stoked for this movie. Really good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited too. I think it's going to be really, 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 really good, and I'm very excited to see it. And I'm just excited we have a comic book going on for them right now. Again, we talked about that. Marvel's really smart with stuff like that. Yeah. Let's tie it in, So yeah, we have that to look forward to. We still have Black Widow before the end of the year.
Ooh,
we still have Loki. We still have Hawkeye. We still have What If? We have another movie. Oh, Shang-Chi.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a lot of Marvel content coming up, so I'm very excited. So.
Wait, and supposedly Spider-Man for Christmas, right? Wasn't it for December?
Maybe. I think so.
Yeah.
That sounds right. So, but we're not just here to talk about Marvel, guys. We saved that for last, actually. We're here to talk about all the comics that came out this week. Release date this new comic book day was May the 26th, Wednesday. So that's everything but DC because DC doesn't play well with us.
They did it before.
We're going to jump a day ahead, and if you didn't pull it, then it's going to be gone when you get there on Wednesday to pick up your other books. So thanks for that. But we're here to talk about those books. And as always, we have a huge list. So we are not going to waste any time. We're going to jump straight into it. And we start, as always, not with a bang, but a boom. Boom Comics. And we have a couple Boom books this week. And I think we share both of them. Let me just grab what I got right here.
I believe we do.
Yes, we do. It is two of our favorite books going. And Boom continues to just be the best. Let's start with Spectre and Spectre's number 4.
Yes.
So, quick rundown. This is the one about the young paranormal investigators who go to this haunted town. One of them gets possessed by a demon. Created and written by Bowen McCurdy and Caitlin Musto. Art by Bowen McCurdy. Letter by Jim Campbell. This is, like, I've enjoyed this, but I think this is the first time this series has really genuinely creeped me out.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
It's always been just enough cute that it didn't really creep me out. Mm-hmm. But the guy with the black eyes.
Or just even, like, as tender as it was, the conversation at the dock with the kid was still just eerie, and it's just like, you just have to play it right. You have to play your right moves and say the right things, or else it's just going to get all fucked up anyway. So no, there was just two stories that just played out very creepy in their own way. But yeah, the man with no eyes is a great design.
Yeah, it creeped me out when he did the thing at the end. He leans forward. I'm like, oh fuck no, no the fuck not. I'm not staying here. I think we have one more issue.
Yeah. I think it's again.
Does it say to be concluded or anything?
Continued, but yeah.
If it goes more, I'm happy.
It'd be cool. It'd be cool if this was just like the first arc, and then by the next one, the big resolution is getting the spirit out of the friend, and then a season 2 of the show, because like they're running their own show, so like why not go out and find more mysteries?
It could literally be Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is one episode of Scooby-Doo, and we'll go to the next one. So I'm really, really enjoying this book. For those of you who have not picked it up, it is from Boom Box. Mm-hmm. It is friendly to people of most ages, I would say, yes. And just a really great way to look into it. Also, really great LGBT representation. One of the better books for
Absolutely.
That right now. So we're going to be talking a lot about LGBT representation this week. If there's a theme this week, that's probably it, to be frank. Yeah. So that leads us to a book we've waited a little while for.
Yes.
That we absolutely love. It took a break, but it's back. And that is Something is Killing the Children. Number 16.
16 issues in, man. I love it.
Now, 15 is where the arc would have ended if it didn't, I don't think it really or the series would have ended if they didn't, if it didn't take off,
Yeah.
That would have been the logical story to make it a mini or something like that. But obviously it's one of the biggest books in comics right now. So, written by James Tynion, the fourth, almost said the third. Illustrated by Werther de la Dera, colored by Michael Muerto, and letter by Ann World Design. We get to see the origin of Erica Slaughter. And if you didn't like her character design before, imagine her as an adorable little girl. I fucking love this book. God, this book just gets me more every time. Like, I'm so glad we both have the masks with the teeth on it too.
Hell yeah, it's right behind me.
Yeah, mine's in my closet right now. It's actually in my sock drawer. I have it there just in case. So yeah, Erica, basically we find out that Erica was a child and one of these monsters killed her family and her best friend, and she witnessed it and basically killed it by herself with no help. And that kind of shows her as having, extraordinary talent at it. She meets a hunter from the House of Slaughter who decides to take her in, which is against the rules. And basically we just get her to the House of Slaughter, and we're going to find out so much about the House of Slaughter.
Yeah.
Which is what we've really wanted from this. We've been like, tell us more. So, yeah, I'm super excited for this.
And I really like this take, too, where it's like, let's do it as a flashback instead of just like going, or in case like when Erica does end up going back, we don't have to like then explain what everything means. I like that. It's like we're using like Erica, the one, like the elusive one that's not going to say much. Now she serves as a proxy. We get to learn it from her perspective, and it's just like, it's really fucking cool. Not to mention her fucking mentor, Jessica, so fucking cool. I loved her so much. The
bit with her and Cecilia where they're arguing.
Oh my god,
and Erica's like, is she one of the bullies? Yes. Like, it's so great. And I like when she's like, we're going to take you to see the dragon. She's like, dragon? Like, so I really, really, really enjoyed this, dude. Like, this is going to be such a great arc already.
Huge welcome back. A book I definitely missed since...
sorely missed, yes, volume. Definitely. Awesome. All right, so we're going to move over to Scout Comics, and me and Josue both have a book, and neither of us share a book. So I'll start off. Mine, I'm not going to spend too much time on because it's not a new release, but this is the second printing.
Okay.
So I wanted to make sure I picked it up, and I really liked it. And it's called By the Horns.
Yeah,
and
cool.
It's really cool. So... story by Marcus Nassau, art, lettering, and design by Jason Moore, color art and effects by Andre Tabakuro, and so it's just really cool. It's a cool fantasy story, and it just opens up, Josue, with a unicorn laying on the ground with someone about to chop their head off, and it's from the unicorn's perspective. And it's like, I've always dreamed of dying in a field like this, And then it cuts back 1 year ago. And we meet this hunter. And she's a babe. A 100% babe. And basically, her name is Elodie. And she's from this like fantasy village. And her job is she goes out and hunts monsters and kills them. And she brings the heads back. And they make soup with the heads that nobody likes to eat because it's disgusting.
I bet it is.
So they're just like... you can stop doing that. You can help in the fields. She's like, nope, gonna go get more heads. And so basically they're trying to tell her, like, please help us. We need help in the fields. This is real food. And, like, the village only works if we all work together, but she doesn't want to hear it. You find out her lover was, like, killed by monsters, and you find out they were actually unicorns. And her goal is to kill all the unicorns. So basically they have a big argument. The elders, and the guy she's close to tells her, hey, they're kicking you out of town. You can't stay here anymore because you're not helping in the town. You're just going to kill monsters. They feel like it's dangerous. And he's like, so what they want to do is let you go for a year, get it out of your system, and come back. And if it's out of your system, they'll let you back. And so this is the story of that year, right? And there's this great action scene where she's fighting all these monsters, and all she's seeing is "you are soup." Like, she just keeps chopping off their heads and stuff, and then she fights this motherfucker.
Ooh, well, that's cool.
Dude, it's a really gorgeous book. It's unusually gorgeous. I love it. She has a wolf companion that talks to her. It's really cool. We get to find out some of the monsters, like the Vorsect, a highly venomous hexapod invertebrate. Or, like, that one is the dragon whale. and it says, "Remember to look up periodically when traveling over open spaces," like stuff like it's just really kind of cool. So, and there's a bit of magic in it. Like one of the shopkeepers is like a bear person.
Oh, a red panda, dude.
It's a red panda, yeah. But it's like an old dude too, and basically he's like, there's a wizard that's fucking up our town. She's like, I could care less. It was a unicorn wizard, basically like, and he's just like, well, help us. And she's like, why should I? He's like, well, he has 2 unicorns. And she's like, fine. So yeah, so that's her whole goal, is to kill these unicorns. But one of the unicorns he has, they cut to it, is the one at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
And we know that's taken place 9 months before that. So there's still 9 months before they even have that confrontation somehow. So I really liked it. I thought it was very fun. I'm definitely going to get Liz to read it. So what about yourself? You have Black Friday 2.
I have Black Friday 2 from Scout's imprint, Black Caravan. And this one is by... the writing and the colors are by John Clark and illustrations by Travis Williamson and lettering by April Brown. So this is that story of Black Friday, where what if the place you work at is an actual gate to hell, because we've all thought that and our workplace suck. Turns out it's real. And then we finally get to see the demons in this issue, which is actually really cool. It wasn't just like figuratively, look how dope they are. They're just like,
oh, that's dope. That's creepy. I don't like that
they
at all.
have like that distorted, like too long of legs or arms, just creeping. But that smile over here, though, this one, God, I love it so much.
Yeah.
It makes for really good twisted faces, and for some really brutal killings. Again, it's like very like weird drawn. Like these are just like the people, but then you have like a brutal death scene of how like everything's being ripped open. It's really brutal. It's very kind of fucked up. And then so I thought it was just going to be like, oh, it's just like the one monster that they have to deal with. Nope, it's an actual gate to hell, and more demons start popping out, and it just becomes like all the staff members just start dropping. Everybody starts brutally getting murdered, and then there's just like this one gorgeous page where just where our protagonist he focuses on one demon, where he has like the creepiest smile. It's a whole page spread. It's really fucking cool. He's just so creepy. The whole the whole description is just like how he looks, how the way like the jaw got broken open, how he can tell how this demon ripped the pinkies and like some of the toes and jagged them up so he can keep adding them as teeth. And it just becomes one of those like, don't ask me how I know. It's just like I just do is what he says. So it just becomes one of those like the author's like word of law, where it's like it's just true, just so we can move forward. But it's just to add to the creepiness, and it just becomes like the one demon that's just like fixated on just like killing the dude, the protagonist, or everybody, because fuck it, you're out of hell. And the whole issue is just that. It's just running around, just escaping. I guess the only downside is that really the only people that just end up kind of dropping the most dead are like the people of color, which is kind of like, that kind of sucks. But other than that, no, like the demons really do stick out, and they just look fucking awesome. The way how this art just works for these demons, it just adds to all the like horror and their creepiness. So that's Black Friday, really cool.
Can I ask you, did you watch Army of the Dead, by the way?
No, not yet.
When you said that, when you're like, all the people of color are dropping, I was like, what is this, a Zack Snyder?
Okay, god damn it. Now I'm kind of like be more pissed when I watch it then. Shit.
Yeah. I'll just say this. The characters you immediately like, don't attach.
Okay. Then.
Don't attach to anyone for the record, but anyways, yeah. So, awesome. All right, let's switch over to Black Mask. Yeah. Man, this company came out of nowhere for us.
Yeah, right?
So, let's start with Alice in Leatherland #2. A book that we picked up because of the name originally, because we were like, well, I got to know what that's about. Yep. So, and man, I'm glad we did. Created by Yolanda Zanfardino and Alicia Romboli. Written by Yolanda Zanfardino. Illustrated by Alicia Romboli. And published by Black Mask Entertainment. I had a thought reading this.
Yeah.
Again, I'll start with my basic review of it. I really enjoyed this issue.
Yes.
I liked it a lot more than the first one, and I really liked the first one. in a world where we don't have getting together, I'm so glad this book exists now. You know, like having that, it's basically like, it's kind of similar in that it's, you know, these personal relationship developments in San Francisco, like, and with a lot of LGBT representation, obviously. I really like the main two characters.
Yeah.
And
Robin.
The will they, won't they thing going on. Yeah. And Alice is adorable and just like so innocent. I love, like, so basically, guys, this is the story. It's the LGBT story of the woman who writes fairy stories, finds out she's being cheated on by her girlfriend, and on a whim moves to San Francisco with the girl who does the art for her stories. The girl, she doesn't know the girl who does the art for her stories is madly in love with her. And they're just kind of like dealing with that. And there's so many cute moments in this that I just absolutely loved. I love her buying the Proud Mama Bear shirt.
Oh my god, dude. And then happening, like...
Yeah. She happens upon a bunch of actual, you know, gay bear men who just...
The bear section, yeah.
Yeah, who just throw her on their shoulders and carry her off, basically. Like, I'm like, yeah, that's great.
No, dude, the scene before that, the whole interaction between Alice and Robin, how it just like, fuck, it just gets really super uncomfortable for Alice. Dude, just to amplify the scene, while I was reading this, Sochi in the room on the other side was literally playing Work Bitch from Britney Spears. So it would totally be a song that we'd be playing in the background while like everybody's hyping up Robin and Alice is just being like, I don't know what to fucking do here. I was dying on this scene just because the song was actually playing.
Yeah. I haven't missed a Pride like festival.
Yeah.
Since lockdown until today. I was like, oh, that's what it was like. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of discourse right now about Pride, especially on Twitter, about what exactly this is Pride.
Yeah.
This is what Pride should be in every way, shape, and form, basically. It's just so much joy, and that's what Pride should be, is happiness. You know what I mean? Like, it's just great. But yeah, we get to see her actually develop a little bit of relationship with her roommates. And, you know, she tells them their story, and it's adorable, and they get her a job. Oh, great, she's got a job. What's she going to be doing? Well, she's working in Leatherland, and which is a sex toy store, and she's incredibly anxious about it. And it's adorable. She's trying to get used to it. The owner's hesitant at first, but then he shows her around, shows her things and stuff. She gets embarrassed about some of the kinkier stuff, you know. But yeah, that's kind of where we leave off. I really enjoyed this book. It's like it's like watching a great sitcom, you know, like, or not even a sitcom, like, because not like, you know, not like that kind of comedy, but you know, like a good comedy show. Like, it's fun.
Dude, I'd be dying the whole fucking time. Like the breakfast scene. With like the Gimp still being there, he's just around as like almost like the butler, and the dominatrix just like dumps like her coffee on him. And he's just like, yes, dude, I mean, a mess over this show.
Yeah, it's great. I absolutely love it, and I mean, I don't think it would be nearly as charming if the main character wasn't the most adorable character in comics. Like, I just absolutely love her. So yeah, great book. Next up is Destiny New York #3.
Awesome.
Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. I bought all 3 volumes of Destiny New York.
How ahead are you now?
I didn't read them.
Oh, okay.
I keep picking them up and being like, no. Maybe when we catch the end of the first volume in comics, then I will.
Okay.
But I'm just like, no. I'm going to wait. So, quickly run down the creative team. Written by Pat Shand, illustrated by Manuel Pretano, letter by Jim Campbell. So this is the ongoing story of the people who are destined to do something, and they have to go to this destiny school where, you know, they are taught. And our main character went to the school, but then she fulfilled her destiny immediately. She was a child of prophecy, and she's already done. And it's the whole, what do you do with your life when the world is done with you? And it's been really, really good. She also met a young woman named Lilith, who is hot. And they've been hooking up, and they seem to be really close right away. What she doesn't know is that one of her good friends, Gia, is destined to kill the girl she's dating now, and she has a date planned with Gia. So this is awkward. We also get to see Augustin, one of her coworkers, a lot, and what's going on with him and his boyfriend, which is pretty cute. His boyfriend's like a big burly dude, but he's cute. He's got a cute little look about him.
Yeah, I know, but just like the scene was just like a little heartbreaking.
Oh, it was heartbreaking. It was so heartbreaking. So
it was because I know, like walking into the scene, I was like, oh, finally, yes, his lifestyle is a character I've actually been curious about. And then it's like, oh, cool, and he's a little gamer. But then at the end, it's like, oh my god, come on.
Yeah. And then the character that I thought was a joke and wasn't going to return, which is the young white boy wizard in glasses with a scar on his forehead that's destined to beat the Dark Lord.
Yeah.
He keeps popping up. The good news is no one likes him, which is an adequate thing to do considering.
Yeah, considering.
Yeah. We also find out a lot more about like different. There's so many characters and so much going on in this one.
Yeah.
One thing we find out is Lilith has a sister, and they're magically bonded, where one can't hurt the other, which is a really cool idea. We get to meet a band called the Postmoderns, which is great. And I know Josue was like, "I want to know what this sounds like." So, but yeah, really enjoying it, and not to spoil too much because it is a story driven book, you know.
And this one got set up for the conclusion of this volume.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see what's going on here. I really enjoyed it. And I'm staring at my books up there and really wanting to read them. What do you think, Josue?
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it because it's like there were a lot of pieces moving, a lot of things kind of being set up. But yeah, it is like to culminating to this first volume's like just finale, or just like at least to leave us with like the next juicy cliffhanger. But a lot of things were set up here for this next issue. That I'm really excited because like I actually do enjoy all these characters.
Yeah, definitely. It's just fun, and I like the way you start with a core of 2 or 3, and then you build and build and build and build, and that's how you do these kind of stories. And again, we compare it to like a TV show. That's why like we'll take a show like Community, right? You have the show Community, and you have just the people in the study room. But by the end of watching Community, we're all saying pop pop. You know, we're telling Leonard to shut up, you know, like we all know Fat Neil, like we know all these other characters because they slowly trickle them in, and we expand the circle. What was that?
We're making puns with Chang in it.
Yes, exactly. Or Dean. So yeah, that's what makes it great. Is you start with a small group and you slowly introduce them, and the best part is every character you introduce is going to be somebody's favorite character. So that's great. All right, so that finishes off with a Black Mask. Next, we're going to switch over to Dark Horse very briefly. I have one book, and that book is Lady Baltimore #3. Written by Mike Mignola and Christopher Golden, art by Bridget Connell, colors by Michelle Madsen, letters by Clem Robbins. This is the Witch Hunter tale, and I'll just sum it up perfectly. The only thing worse than witches is Nazi witches. The Hexen Corps.
Oh my god.
It's so great. So you have these Nazi witches. It's all, you know, they're trying to stop our heroes. For some reason, the Nazi witches will not go into this specific town. And so our heroes retreat to the town, and they find out that there's a shrine of Joseph, Josef.
I got it. Sorry. The Hax's hags.
I like Hexen Corps personally. But you find out Joseph is a golem.
Oh, okay, nice.
And he basically was built to destroy witches. And that's why the witches won't come anywhere near, because if they do, he'll wake up and chase them down and kill them. So our heroes are like, well, let's take him and help him and have him kill the witches. And they're like, but he's the only reason the people in this town are safe. Do we do that? And so there's like this whole dispute as to what they're going to do. It's really interesting. I'm really, really enjoying it. And there's only 2 more issues left, but I'm excited to see where it goes. So, And I've heard really good things about it from other people too. Like at my local comic book store, the guy up front, he's like, "That's one of the." He's like, "We," because they didn't have any. I had to find this in another store.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, "Yeah, we only got one copy that wasn't reserved, and that was mine." I was like, "Yeah." So yeah, cool guy though. Now we're going to switch over to Image. We have several Image books. I will start off. Several. We have 6 actually. We have. We each have solo books. I'll start with my solo book because I only have one. Also, we have several. It's the Old Guard Tales Through Time. So it's the mini series telling little bits of the history of the characters from the Old Guard. And Josue, I know you haven't been reading this, but I'm just going to read off the creative team for the first story, written by Kelly Sue DeConnick.
Ah, cool. Damn it.
Art by Valentine Delandro, colored by Rebecca McConnell. But yeah,
dude, don't even fucking get me started. I got late. Sorry, just a little quick tangent. I got late to books with pictures. I usually kind of want to get there before noon. Like sometimes I'm like again this week. It'd be like 3 titles where I get the last issue of certain things where there are just
that happens to me a lot too.
Yeah. So I get there a little later than usual, and then good old Nick, it just like almost like rushes back to the back corner while as I'm picking him up. I was like, dude, where were you? I was like, what do you mean? Matt Fraction was here. I was like, what? Dude, no.
I need to move to Portland.
I missed him by like probably by like 30 minutes or something. I was like, this is why you fucking hit me up. But I mean, if Matt Fraction was in the store, my phone would be nowhere near me either. I'd be like, hey, Matt, what the fuck is up?
Right.
So yeah, that happened.
That's awesome. And then there's the second story written by Eric Troutman, art by Mike Henderson, and colors by Daniela Mia. So the first story is actually a story of a samurai. Ooh. And you find out that he's not the Old Guard. It's Noriko from the Old Guard. The character you barely see in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just basically, he talks about everything he's done through his long life. And then she's the one who kills him in the end. So that's that story. And the other one is an Old West story where it feels like a Jonah Hex story, but it's really, really good.
Nice.
Where it's basically like these bad guy cowboys are about to kill somebody for no reason. He steps up and takes them out. So, yeah, really good. I'm enjoying filling in the holes, with all this. It makes me want to go back and get the actual original run, so I can read the comic book version. I loved the movie, so yeah. So that's my only Image solo. Josue, let's start with Bitterroot 13.
Oh, man. Okay. So it's getting kind of harder where I like, at least specifically for Bitterroot, because it's definitely a book I want everybody to enjoy. But it's like, so this book became one of those where it's like, fuck yeah, I'm reading it, so dropping all the spoilers. But now that I know that's a movie, it's going to be a movie. It's so hard to pick and choose what I can actually tell about this. Especially this fucking issue. Issue 13 was awesome. Good creative team just because they deserve it. Creators are David F. Walker, Chuck Brown, and Sanford Green. Color artist is Sophie Dodson, and lettering by Hassan Natame Elau. Oh, man, this one just was telling like 3 tales at once. It was jumping a lot over, in time a lot, over a bunch of stuff that are being set up, stuff that we are not even spoilers, and now they're all just like, now I'm wondering how they're going to happen or now why they're there. But again, like there's people that we see graves of people and where it's kind of like, okay, that's going to be a spoiler. So I can't talk about that because now we have to like figure out how we're going to get here. But then there's other stuff that are just like beautiful where it's just like, it's the opposite of just that. One of our characters has a kid and with somebody that isn't human. So it's like, I can't, again, at that point, that could be anybody. But if you're reading it, it makes sense like on who it could be. But it's just a tender moment, so it's gonna get really fucking cool. There's a whole great scene with Uncle Ford, which again, it's one of my favorite characters. He's started out like really just like, I'm out here to kill white people, but then he learns his lesson to not be like, because that's being to not kind of just go for that reason alone, and just becomes compassionate his own way. And then like the horrors that they see with fucking Cullen, there's these like great shots of like trees that are alive, and they just have like this like Soren looking eye that just like kind of controls everything. It's fucking awesome. Like, and Colin has this again, like then he was, because he was the opposite one. He was the compassionate one that ended up going through the portal to the other side. And then coming back as like the next Uncle 4. So he started joining the cause to just, well, fuck it, let's just kill the Janu since there's just a bunch of racist white men. But now there's like a great scene where he saves like a bunch of white kids, where it was almost like it looked like it didn't look like he was gonna like leave them to die just because they were white. It just, before you get that thought, just because you think he's that character, it just ends up being like he just ends up rescuing them. So it's like a bunch of pieces end up moving in this issue too. And then it culminates to Blink having such a great fucking speech between like the families uniting. And I can only imagine, again, like now everything means so much more because now I can only see or want to picture it on the screen. But right now, as this, it's such a great fucking moment. So again, Bitterroot is one of the best books out there. Go read it.
Nice.
Oh shit! After after that, let's see what Department of Truth.
Yeah, let's do Department of Truth.
Department of Truth number 9 by James Tynan the fourth. Artist is Martin Simmons. Lettering by Aditya Bidikar. Another one where, again, I want to talk about these books, but I'm put in this position where like I don't know what to say. I mean, and in this case, it's Department of Truth, so it's like, what is real? What are you telling me that I should be following, or what I should be? What is that believe? And now you're making me doubt. Oh boy. We continue with Hank, right? Yeah, I'm sorry, Hawk. Fucking Hawk. I'm trying to find his last name, but Hawk, the dude who basically, Mr. Hawk, the dude who basically is able to make everything disappear, or how he's able to make all these conspiracies believable or not believable, or just make them go away all in general. There's a great moment how to believe in tarot cards or how they work based on a simple deck of cards, because I guess they can kind of play out that way. They have there's similar symbolism on both things, even though they're just two very completely different things. And that's what he starts going with. And that's what he starts, he starts going to Cole, or getting into it with Cole, on what it all means for him and why he's there, and how all these conspiracies work, and how he's able to make them go away. And it's like, and it is through like the process of belief, and how he's able to, at least if it starts getting too big, or if it starts becoming too real, or if it starts indicating that way, it's like he's the one who kind of manipulates belief by steering certain subliminal messages from here or there, so that people can start talking about it in a different way, and it all comes down to, different symbols. God, so it's not even just it doesn't even become about throwing in subliminal messages on the TV for you to trigger different conversations based on these symbols, but how Christianity, like what we do know now of Christianity, basically adapting a bunch of holidays from pagan traditions like Christmas, but so much so, but then still using said symbols to their own advantages, like all the beastly creatures, but then just painting it as Baphomet, even though that's not really who Satan, or the idea of Satan, was. So it just becomes a whole clusterfuck of a conspiracy of a whole once again. And again, it comes down to the fucking, like, what are they called? The Masons, and the Freemasons, and how deep it goes after that. And oh man, it's just nuts. It's so much nuts that the next thing that we're going to talk about, again, how it correlates to this one, because it all, at least right now, the mission is who the Star-Faced Man is, since it's that real, and who the Lady in Red is, who ends up the one kind of fucking with all the conspiracies anyway. They're trying to get to her, like Hawk, and down to Lee Harvey Oswald. He calls him by just Patsy, and and so now the next mission is, and in order to get closer to this one, they need to go to the next creature to investigate. But anyway, the only people that have seen or can actually believe in the Star-Faced Man, it's the dude who goes with the scratched like pentagram on his face, is Cole, right. Lee Harvey Oswald, and his partner, like the chick that he's been kind of riding around with, and Hank just leaves him there. So pretty much like, go back and ask them questions. And next month we get into the next big conspiracy. I'm so fucking excited. Next issue's going to be so good with Bigfoot. So, yeah, that was Department of Truth. It gets so fucking hard to talk about this book when I'm the only one reading it because it just sounds like I'm making it up as I go, or it's just like a book I'm finding that nobody else is reading.
You're like, and then Lee Harvey Oswald shows up. I'm like, yeah, awesome. Two Moons, number 4.
Two Moons, number 4. Creative team is writer John Arcudi. Artist is Valerio Giangiorando Riodano. Colors is Bill Crabtree. Lettering by Michael Heisler. Finally, we get to at least believe Two Moons. Two Moons has been dragged, imprisoned, just handcuffed, and now thrown behind bars, all because he had to kill. Like, everybody only witnessed him shooting a person in the back of in the back, not realizing that he was seeing a real demon manifest, and after that, he's just been on a getaway, or people on the rebel side, the south side, end up rescuing him, which was already weird on awkward on its own. So he was still more so on the run, and the Union finally caught up and got him. But they also got one of the survivors, the only demon that was on the rebel side, influencing the other rebels. But nobody's still believing him. Everybody still thinks that he was just doped up on mushrooms, which he was, but he also wasn't lying. So anyway, like the demon on the next episode is still just like antagonizing him. There's a great image where he brings them in. That's the goat's eye. He brings them in and just like makes them see like the cosmos. It's just all just to fuck with them. But there's other distance, not just the one demon. There's just so many other fucking demons that are just trying to get to Two Moons. One of them being that he's disguised as a member of the Union, and Two Moons can see this, and he's able to get the upper hand on him because the first general, who's basically like a brother to Two Moons, who just hasn't been wanting to believe that he's turned, but this time he's just like, his racist side is taking over, and also his orders are taking over, but he's still giving him the benefit of the doubt. So the demon who's just trying to get to Two Moons and realize like, oh, I'm trying to get this guy out of here. Two Moons get the upper hand on him and just ends up killing him. So he ends up revealing himself in front of everybody. And now everybody can believe Two Moons that he might be telling the truth. I think such a nightmare. So now the town is being invaded by a bunch of demons who, because I guess before dying, the demon let out a weird shriek, and now the whole town's being invaded. And on the possibility that there might be demons, they still don't want to believe because nobody wants to believe that demons are real. But it's just like, oh shit, Two Moons was telling the truth this whole time. But yeah, it makes for great designs. I've been loving these monsters. Monsters have been really fucking kicking me up lately in comics.
Nice. All right, we have a couple shared image books. Start with Shadecraft 3.
Oh man. Okay.
Shadecraft 3, written by Joe Henderson, drawn by Lee Garbett, colored by Antonio Fabella, and lettered by Simon Boland. This was a really good issue. We're starting to open up a bit. We're starting to get an idea of the world around our main character. Obviously, we have the counselor who is helping her. So as a reminder, those of you out there, this is the book where the girl suddenly is like getting attacked by shadows and something going on with shadows. And then in the last issue, we discover that her brother is her shadow and is following her around. Or so we thought. Anyways, so in this one, basically we found out, yes, she has powers. And this counselor was sent here literally to find her and train her. And we get some cool training sequences where she's learning how to control the shadows. And with a lot of superpowers, it's the, control your emotions, use your emotions kind of thing. Makes sense. I love the bit about how she trained with all the lights around her. Yeah. In case the shadow got out of control, they could immediately blow it up with light, which is cool. But yeah, and they discover that the shadows that basically were going after the guy she liked, they're not gone. They just ran away. And they were created with the emotions basically of her being upset that he didn't like her back. So she's basically having to try to find those shadows and get rid of them before they kill him, basically. So she does, and it's kind of her first mission as a hero somewhat. Mm-hmm. And we get some really cool, innovative like fighting because she has to use her own shadow to fight the shadow. She doesn't physically hit it herself, which is kind of cool. And in the end, she uses her emotions to control it and shrink it down into a bunny. Cute little shadow bunny that she then blows to dust. So she's like, cool, I got my powers. This is great. And she goes and talks to the guidance counselor, and we get the end of the issue where we find out that the shadow that's following her, that's acting like her brother, is not her brother.
Yeah.
And I was kind of thinking that anyways. I was thinking he's like her memory of her brother.
Mm-hmm.
And she's projecting onto it or something like that. Why that one can talk and none of the others have is interesting. We'll see that. But I'm really liking this. It's really cool. And obviously with a premise like this and a story or a title like Shadecraft, obviously the use of black and shadow, and it's really, really, really creative, and I really like that. So what'd you think?
Dude, I fucking love this book. Like, as a whole, like 3 issues in, and it's just been like back to back to back of just like, this is an issue. This is a series I can just like dive like really deep into it because I love the concept. I love how simple or grounded it is with like the characters, and then when it needs to just like pop off on the powers, it's like it's actually really cool. I dig it. Like the whole scene in the fair where she's using her own shadows, but then she realizes like, oh, I can just manipulate shadows. So when she gets knocked over, she uses one of the beams from the shadows of the Ferris wheel, so it can be like a stick, and that's what she holds like the mob open, and it's like, fuck yeah, you can just like do anything. It's really fucking cool. Like again, like at this point, like Radiant Black has like really elevated, especially with where it left off. But this is like literally what like that hype that everybody was giving that book. I don't know. I always come back to that book because like it is like the teen who just got powers, you know, and it's like I think I just prefer these powers.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm really, really enjoying it. I love the art, especially.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and the art is fantastic. Like her design is awesome, and again, like the use of black or like the way the shadows can get manipulated, it's just so cool. It's really pretty too.
Nice. And then our last image book, Helm Greycastle #2. I got this cover.
Ooh, I got cover A. Oh, what's fucking actual Helm? Helm Greycastle.
Yeah. So we delve further into the South America of all this, basically, is the way I would put it. Quickly running down the creative team. Story by Henry Baraja, color by Brian Valenza, pencil by Ramat Handoko, letter by Gabriella Downey. So yeah, basically we continue to get this creative combination of South American lore with traditional fantasy adventuring party. I think the highlight for me in this issue is actually the little dragon dude.
I know, right?
He's fucking cute as shit. Like I'm just like, I just want to pet him, like, and carry him off. Like it's just great. But yeah, what did you think? Because I wanted to get your opinion because I saw your tweet about it, and obviously it's lore that's something that you are interested in. So what do you think about it?
Well, I mean, I do love all the extra bits. I cannot wait to meet up with the proper DM to make sense of this and make a game out of this for me or for us.
Yes.
So it was a little misleading where you get to half of the issue and that's where it cuts off. And mostly because, my tweet was about the title of this book, which was Meet Me in Mictlan, which is the Mexican or Aztec underworld. So it's just like, what a great fucking title. And it's like all that just doesn't really help doesn't really get to that until the end of the issue. Then you get a great fucking reveal of getting there. But up until then, like it was a cool, I guess it was the whole point was the journey to there. Cause the whole point, the whole time there, I'm just like, yeah, this little dragon dude is adorable. Just like the 2 times he was spitting fire was just like, oh fuck yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah. No, I do like that they have the adventure here, and it does use the open game license, so it is 5e compatible. It's just D&D rules, basically.
Because like the last one had the Axolotl like warriors as thing you would fight. So first and foremost, I'd probably never fight. As soon as I confront them, I'd probably just give up because they'd be too fucking cute with their little shields and swords. I'd let them kill me. But the fact that they are there and we can play in 5e, it's just like, I need this game to be real. I want to play this game so fucking bad. Again, going back to the beginning of the game, everybody gets vaccinated so we can go back to playing D&D in person. I mean, imagine being like Helm Greycastle, like with the stats already prepped for you. You just have to read the comic and just embellish it however you want to take the scene and just be like, you can be that character. I like this book a lot.
Yeah, it's great. It's fun. So, nice. Now we're going to move on and talk about Vault. Oh, no, we're not going to talk about Vault. Sorry. Josue picked up so many books this week. So this is the Josue section of the show.
Okay.
So we got 6 books in a row that's Josue only. No, 7, sorry. So let's start with Source Point Press.
Okay.
And 20 Fists 2.
20 Fists 2. Some of these are going to be really quick, mostly because, it's 6 books back to back, but also because of story. 20 Fists 2 Fists is actually a character from my LARP Afterworld, so I missed that. So I missed that son of a bitch. But 20 Fists is a book from Source Point that is by Cat Bauman. The art is by Cat Bauman, colors by Gab Contreras, lettering by DC Hopkins, written by Frankie White. I actually like the art actually in the bottom, and just appreciate the arts. But anyway, this is about the 2 gangs where, to put it simply, the Warriors meets the Romeo and Juliet. About the 2 gangs, 2 regular gangs. They're not even like, they don't even look like they're just like, they come from like bad homes and they just have like a shit life and they just have like this gang and that's all they do and they just have to fight. They look like just stand-up kids like outside of this pact, because that's all it is. It's like these group of kids that just know each other and they make a pact where every time they fight, every time they see each other, they just have to fucking fight. And this scene is literally just one giant fight, and you get to see it play in real time. Because at one point people start getting cut out. Like if one of them gets knocked out, you get like the cast and an X over him. The whole scene is just like the one fight, and just like I said, playing in real time and see how each of them start dropping, and then by the end of it, everything just gets set up for the last issue being a 2-on-1, where it's just like, I mean, at this point I don't even know who's. I can't even call them protagonists, because it's like they're both in on it. It's not like one set of friends are just being bullied by the other guys and they just have to defend themselves. Like they're in on it too, so I can't even call them protagonists, but it's gonna end on a 2-on-1, and yeah, I'll be here for the end. Next one by Source Point. Let's go with this one. Cult of Dracula number 3. The writer creator Rich Davis, pencils by Puis Calzada, and colors by Trevor Richardson, lettering by Dave Lentz. Okay, I actually really do like this book now. The first 2 were very jokey, or just like we're very like, all right, let's do this retelling. But by the end of it, when it started revealing on like, oh shit, if we're not showing any other kind of Dracula, and you're just showing me this goddess, this entity like this, fuck yeah, excuse me. Let's do it. I can't wait for the 3rd issue. And it was just that. You get, it opens up with Renfield's backstory, and how, at least in this case, in the early days of the 1945, and those times how his dad was just like fucking psycho, was able to evade the police, and was able to find a girl and get her pregnant, and he was born. They get found out. The dad still goes fucking crazy and goes after the cops. The mom defends her baby, Renfield, and then a stick of dynamite gets dropped in, and kaboom. Only 2, Mother Dracula is who saved Renfield.
Oh, wow.
So it's a slightly different take, and I'm much more interested in it now. Because she's very fucked up. She's a cold-hearted bitch. You get the backstory that, because Renfield is like obsessed. He's like the crazy guy, fucking John fucking Watts in the movie. He's just like obsessed that he wants to be a vampire. It's like I'll worship you forever. I just want to be a part of you, just like everybody else. That's just like that's following you. And the whole time it's like, sure, just find me more followers. Keep doing your thing. Keep doing your cult. And we come back to like the beginning of just like why kind of like the news is there with like Mina and Jonathan and everybody. So it's his cult of why people are following the cult of Dracula. And then it's just like, she's so cool but then she ends up like revealing, promising that's all he's there for. That's all he's being used for. Like she'll never actually turn him. She actually tells him, but he has no other purpose in life, at least like not for himself. So he's just like crushed, but he's just doing his thing. That's part of half of the book. The other half of the book is Lucy and her craziness, and how the three brides are just helping her, coaching her how to go through the night, through the hunger, and Lucy just being like, no, I want to feed. She just runs away. But then again, a great 2-page spread of her meeting the mother, Mother Dracula, and just being like, fine, I'll show you how to feed. And oh my god, it gets so fucking crazy, dude. It just literally cuts to let's just call it what it is, an orphanage, and Lucy's just ripping through these babies and just feeding.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. And then the last part 3 story is Jonathan Crane and his wild orgy that he's just like being like, no, please stop. And was it Abe fucking Helsing, and then Helsing like ends up saving him. But then,
you mean Jonathan Harker?
Oh, Harker, yeah, sorry, Jonathan Harker.
Crane is Scarecrow.
My bad. So yeah, he ends up saving him from the brides. But then it also gets revealed that pretty much this whole thing has been manipulated from Helsing, or at least like the priest, for Mina and Jonathan to show up just for this occasion, because the whole point is for Mina, and then he gets all like pissy and shit. So some pieces start moving, and yeah, that's pretty much like what's been going on right now for like the main characters, and this issue really turned me around for this book.
Nice. And we have a finale.
We do.
Damned Cursed Children, number 5.
Damn you, Howard Wong. You know those books where like in the best way, like you were like, or like for the issue, like it ended perfectly, where you just want the extra issue, but it just ends so sweetly just to have like the little extra bit, the extra bits of words from the actual creator to just make it more true. But we're with the finale, because now the fucking kids get smarter. They're still turned. They're not turning back. They're not reverting back, and that's why they're getting smarter. These are just zombies that are actually learning, or they're just like these cannibal kids. These kids, due to this outbreak, this sickness, they're just somewhat getting smarter. Because as our 3 left heroes, the veteran, his daughter, and the book just refers to her as the millennial. They're evading. They just got on this truck. And on this highway, it's just a bunch of traffic that everybody just their cars and they can't get through. Except there's a semi coming, and it's actually coming. And they look at the windows, and it's a bunch of kids just driving it, dude. They're literally just like, they're literally gunning it towards them. They know what they're doing. They know who they're driving towards. So they just like literally 3-point reverse, and just like it becomes a little car chase. But they're not all that smart. The semi goes over a car and ends up flipping the whole thing over. So anyway, they end up escaping. Some heartfelt moments between like the daughter and the dad. And even back then, they had to ditch the millennial. So you think she's dead, but she ends up showing up at the end to kind of rescue the daughter when she was almost about to just like stay with the dad. But yeah, in the end, it gets quickly wrapped up where like they end up going to a base, well, at the very least a safe haven, and then like the last page gets into a broadcast where like the children seem to remain affected. Actual number of infected killed remain unknown. So yeah, there's no explanation being given by any government or the World Health Organization. But at the very least, like the hope that's left out for the end is that there has been confirmed reports of the firstborn since the outbreak, and the child is healthy and normal. So there's like, all right, cool. Like so it just happened the one time. There's really no indication. It's just like the child is healthy and normal, bringing a ray of hope not only to the city but the country and the planet. And then it just ends up cutting, and that's where it ends. So it's kind of like, is it the ray of hope, or it's just like we get to like the good ending, and it was just it's this one occurrence that happened once, but it's like it didn't get explained really of like how or why it happened to just these kids or just why the kids. But it's still my favorite outbreak, just because like these kids that just end up being crazy, or just like to just go crazy, just batting around, clubbing kids literally. So would be fucking awesome. And again, just like the black and white take on it, like not adding colors to the whole thing was just actually fun. Like yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the story.
Nice.
Sorry. Also, but yeah, written by not just Howard Wong, but Josh Stafford, and art by Robin Simon.
Nice. Let's switch over to Aftershock. Oh, so he's got an Aftershock book.
Aftershock book. Oh shit, I almost got the wrong one. Aftershock book. It's Nuclear Family by Stephanie Phillips. Art is Tony Chastain, colors J.D. Metler, and lettering by Troy Peteri. Penultimate issue where everything slowly kind of makes sense. Now, the kids were able to escape last time and were going through the vents, and they got kind of found out because they fell from said vents. And they fell in this room where they were doing experiments. Fancy scientist is in his hazmat suit, face mask, nice and prepped. And this one dude gets injected with what would be... It basically just, like, sucks away all the oxygen and water from your body. And that's why some of the people have been looking like zombies around. And they're just trying to, like... It's basically their weapon to fight back with. And they're just trying to get it right. The kid that was kind of helping the kids that got time displaced, he started asking questions. Well, shit, this is exactly how my mom left. Like, where is she? And then the scientists just being assholes, or just like, yeah, she's probably gone now. They able to escape still. The daughter from the family was able to inject the dude who was like the copy of the friend that worked with the dad. She was able to inject him in the back of the neck, and so at least like they bought that time. And then the dude who literally just got experimented on was able to escape and started biting out the scientist. So they buy that time. They meet up with the family and they start really investigating. They start really exploring this whole city, like this whole underground city that's been happening. And the kid has been saying like, yeah, I lived in like I'm from this section something, which ends up being like, and they start going to like the panels. And they start going just more and more and more underground. They literally live, while they're already underground, they already live in like in this sub area where it's literally where all the shit goes. We're living in the sewers. So he's literally just kind of going up, like whenever he gets a chance, he just escapes to just get out of there. And once they finally get to his place, in his actual home is the dude who's called the governor, who's basically the one running the whole place, the one who's... When the dad woke up, when they first got time displaced, he was the first one that they saw. The dude who's basically runs this whole underground city. And he just... There's just like a shock between everybody. And so he has the floor. It's like when we met Mr. McLean, asked you a simple question, so I'll ask you again. Are you a threat? And that's where it ends. So now it starts all kind of clicking, where it's just like, if they do get back... they basically got time displaced into a world where the Cold War did happen, where like the bombs did drop, and that's why everybody's been leaving that, or just can't help but believe that they're spies, because it's been 10 years of just actual turmoil from the Russians. So it's like, why would they be here? Why would they look too perfect to just not be spies? So I think they might go back in time to actually save the world from the Cold War actually happening. So yeah, again, the penultimate issue, I'll actually arrive with real answers the next time around.
Nice. Let's switch over to Magma and Modern Frankenstein.
Yeah, the Modern Frankenstein. Story by Paula Cornell, art by Emma Viacelli, color art by Pippa Bowland, lettering by Simon Bowland. So this is a story where we followed Dr. Cleve, and she is the sexy black scientist who's falling in love with Dr. Jason Frankenstein. And she's in the last issue, she finally got in on the end with Frankenstein on all the secret experiments that he was running. And now we kind of know what kind of experiments they've been doing. And yeah, they're not good. They're again, like, it's fucking with like the brains. And then she kind of knows how to manipulate now the patients with now futuristic devices. Like at one point, when one of the patients is going too crazy, she just busts out her phone and is able to just like put them in a trance with like just like these weird psychedelic colors, like almost like from an app. And she has two chances. Our doctor has 2 chances where she's told, hey, you can basically manipulate him, like, or you can basically be a double agent and send me like this other doctor, because she doesn't trust Frankenstein, and send me just copies of the information. That way, in case when the shit hits the fan, you can still play you can still like say like how's like the deniability or
plausible deniability.
Thank you. Yeah, plausible deniability. And she's like, no, I'm in this shit. So she's like, she gets all pissy because she also wants to know what's been going on behind those closed doors. Yeah. And then even so, Frankenstein gives her the option to be like, hey, if it's getting too heavy, you can actually back off. It's fine. And she's like, no, because it gets into sexy, sexy times between her and Frankenstein. And I don't blame them. Like, they're both really fucking hot. So she's in on it now. She can't help herself until they actually finally do it one more time. Again, sexy times. But it's not what really the book's about. It gets really, at the end of it, after some pillow talk, Frankenstein's like, hey, all these experiments, because like at one point she's like, at one point when he's like, yeah, the reason why I push these experiments, why I push like when other places aren't really doing animal testing and he just like goes crazy with it, it's because it saves time. Like when me doing these experiments to get proper pills or to get proper medication, it just saves so much fucking time to just do it this way. So now coming back to the same conversation after some pillow talk, he's just like, yo, it's not fast enough. What if we actually do experimental trials, just like literally just like instead of going through the FDA, just like letting go a bunch of experimental medications so to see if it works in the masses instead of like doing slow calculations. And now she's having doubts. And yeah, that's literally where this issue ends, and her just finally having doubts after finally having some fun with Frankenstein.
Yeah. All right, and last book for these publishers, IDW. You have The Last Ronin #3.
Yes, TMNT, The Last Ronin #3. Story by Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, and Tom Waltz. Script by Tom Waltz and Kevin Eastman. Wow, there's just like so many creators. Kevin Bishop and Kevin Eastman do the art with color assistance by Samuel Blatham. And so, yeah, this one tells, again, these books are going to be telling two stories at the same time. And it's how each issue is going to tell how a past brother died and then setting up what the current turtle is doing, which at this point we all know that it is Michelangelo. So in this book, we find out how, sadly, not only how Leo died, but how Casey Jones went down with him in a blaze of glory. And it was kind of touching. Again, it's all just like super fucking action packed, so it's just gnarly and super fucking fun. But it does tie into, because as I suspected, the punky girl from like the first issue, kind of running the gang, is April and Casey Jones' daughter. So you kind of see her having like the same attitude of like, I need to go like fight the Foot Clan. Meanwhile, Mikey is just having just all kinds of like doubt, and April just has to like actually shape him back. Just be like, yeah, there's something that has to do that you have to do, and at this point shows him her arsenal, and we get just like a cool shot of just like not just a bunch of weapons, but this cool like almost like turtle tank. One of the classic mobiles, but yeah, it's one of those like touching ones, because like, you do want to see like what happens back then, but now it's just like I said, it's cool how like Mikey having to deal by himself with like a bunch of real world shit, and just like it's all by himself, and he's talking to his brothers a lot less, so it's cool seeing him focused like in the moment than just being like broody and talking to like his past dead versions of his brothers.
Nice. Yeah, I should probably pick that up when the first trade comes out.
It'll probably be better as a trade
when I catch it. Yeah, that's when I'll catch up. So, all right, now we're gonna switch over to Vault, and we have 4 books for Vault, and Josue has yet another solo book. Shadow Service #8. Oh
man, Shadow Service #8. It's just so awesome. Cool. Writer is Kevon Scott. Artist is Corin Howell. And the coloring is by Triona Farrell. Lettering by And World Design. So we find out that Gina betrayed the group, MI666. And we find out that Edwin, her accomplice rat, had betrayed her to this new group that she betrayed them for. And now this whole book is just her dying over and over again for information, and it just sucks. I mean, it sucks. It happens within the first page turn. It's like you almost want to believe it, where it's like, well, I guess that's this character. Because again, it's like I have to believe it for Radiant Black too. But she basically gets her throat slit by the like super sweet demon chick from the last issue. And Gina goes to this weird afterlife, and she starts talking to Quill. We find out that Quill is actually dead. And Quill, at one point of the conversation, Quill asks her, like, so how did you go? I was like, oh, she cut my throat. It's like, well, there's worse ways to go. You find out how Quill died. And this demon is fucked. Every organ out of his mouth and throat just came out. Like, you can actually see his stomach, like, curling in from, like, stuff not being there. It's just like, this book is intense when it has to be, but it's not overly gory either. It's just awesome. And then what happens next? That demon witch, like, revives her. Only for her to be tortured and be killed over and over for information for MI666 on what they know. And she's not caving. She's not cracking, mostly because she also doesn't know. And by the end, she's able to escape. She uses her witch powers to just, like, at least, like, expel some, like, hex and make some room while she escapes. The demon lady comes out again and chases them again. Like, these designs are just so dope. And she's able to get outside and meets up with MI666 that's been looking for her. So everything's all cool. Let's, like, team up again, even though she did betray them, but they do know the information. And then the teammates start withering and disappearing. And then we've been in a simulation, inside a simulation, this whole time. and Gina has been hexed, like, not just, like, being killed over and over again, but thinking that she actually escaped, and now she's back in this dinner table, and now they kind of have what they want, and they reveal who, and they kind of drop a ball where it's just like, we do know that at her house, like, way back when, for, like, in her origin story, that, like, she didn't really get along with her mom, and it didn't really make sense why her mom would be so normal, why she's a witch. It turns out that wasn't her real mom, and we find we still don't know who it is. The reveal wasn't there. Hopefully, we find out in the next issue. But it's just so twisted. Again, such a dark book from Vault.
Nice. All right, and we share these 3 next Vault books. Let's start with Witchblood 3.
Yes.
Okay, Witchblood 3. I haven't talked in a while. That's weird. Creative team: Matthew Ehrman, Lisa Sturl, Gab Contreras with the coloring, and World with the lettering. Once again, our favorite bike riding witch. What cover did you get, by the
way? Cover A. Oh, the Terror one. Oh, so good too.
Yeah. It was actually the only one on the wall. The other was sold out. So, but I like it. So yeah, basically we get to see this whole story continue. We get to see some fun little bits. Specifically, she makes kind of a makeshift potion to turn her raven or crow or whatever into a half dog so it can sniff out things, which is funny. Cool. Yeah. We're introduced to another witch that is stealing the eyeballs of children. And, story instincts tell you, oh, that's a bad guy. And then it's like, no, not really. They're basically sisters, It's just like, but now we have this, the other character who's hunting them down, and we get this fun confrontation. And yeah, just a really enjoyable issue. I think it's going to be, I want to see where these characters go from here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah. And then we get a really cool reveal at the end. Literally labeled, "What a reveal. Majestic, impressive, amazing." Like, so, yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I like that this book doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun in general, so, yeah. And I really like the character design for the Shed Witch.
So, I know, right? The fact that she's, like, a witch in her own way, so that's why they have, like, their own little tea meetup. It was a fun scene.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add about?
Yeah, no, like the hunter girl at Lokoya, again, like, an interesting take on, like, using that name, which is a reference to another Aztec deity, which is the goddess of the desert or the barren waste and desert. So she gets that name, and like they are kind of roaming around in the Texan desert. So it's really cool. And also, yeah, the reveal with was it Texas Red? Because like she was talking to her in the beginning, and now she gets like that super glamorous reveal. No, it's dope. I really love this book too.
Yeah, it's fun. Next up, we're going to talk about number 1.
Yes.
Let's talk about The Blue Flame, number 1. Now, we're going to run down the creative team, of course. And that is written by Christopher Cantwell. Artist is Adam Gorham. Colorist by Kurt Michael Russell. And letterer Hassan Atsami El-Shao. First of all, did you scan the QR code and listen to the score?
You know I did.
Of course you did. I saw that. I'm like, well, Josue's going to do that. So this is really interesting. So for those who don't know about Vault doesn't do superhero comics.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of their thing. They do genre comics, mostly fantasy, sci-fi, horror, things like that. This is outright a superhero comic for all intents and purposes. Mm-hmm. And so you start reading it and you realize, no, it's not. it is, but it's not. We're following a kind of, well, in this form, originally, he gives me very obvious Darkhawk vibes, right. But kind of like Nova too, maybe a little Green Lantern. And he goes onto this other planet and he gets kidnapped and he's told, this is your trial. And then we cut back to Earth and we see presumably the same guy where he's also the Blue Flame, but they're basically, it's basically like, street level heroes without powers, like working together and like, doing things. It's not supposed to be like, like a big time thing, and they're going to make an appearance and everything like that. We meet some other heroes. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, basically they're doing this appearance and then somebody opens fire at the appearance. And that's when we come back to the original, he's in space and he's on trial. And this is really interestingly told.
I know.
What do you think, Jose?
Well, I mean, it's like you paint two different pieces, like two different tales. Like the opening shot, like the opening page of these cosmos are awesome. Like this cosmic cloud, but then you have like these planets back here, but then this form right here, this green dragon looking thing is incredible. It's just like, what the fuck? Like I'm so fucking excited. It almost makes you think, again, Darkhawk meets a little bit of Fear Agent. It's like, what kind of dangerous tale is this guy going to get into? And then we get thrown way the fuck back to what you want to say Watchmen, but it's really want to be like way more like Minutemen era of it. Yeah. Especially with like the take of like the superhero or the hero that they have. But it's just like, again, very interesting. I'm like, how is this going to make sense? I believe in Vault every time. Like they're just going to they're going to pull it off. But like, it was not what I was expecting, especially how they were hyping up the book, and I'm just like, fuck, like I'm into it.
Presumably, the stuff happening in space was what I gathered could be a hallucination he's having because he, was shot. He's in a hospital bed. Mm-hmm. And if he visualizes himself as this hero, is just the story he's telling himself about himself being a real hero, like with powers and shit. And the fact that it was a mass shooting that happened and the whole thing is like your whole race is on trial. I'm wondering if we're going to get kind of political with that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like a race that continually kills each other, like, and maybe he goes a little crazy, maybe he goes vigilante and, I don't know. I'm really excited though. There's a lot of directions it could go that would be really interesting. Yeah. So very good. Very good. Number 1. I'm in for now. So great. Next up, man. Oh my gosh.
It's back.
Talk about something we've missed.
Oh my God. Yes.
Not only did I get cover A, I also got the hidden variant.
Yes, me too. Back there.
and you got the other one. Guys, Money Shot's back. Money Shot number 11. Written by Tim Seeley and Sarah Beatty. Drawn by Carolyn Lee Lane, who is new artist to the series. Mm-hmm. Colored by Kurt Michael Russell. And lettered by Crank. for those who don't remember Money Shot, I'm going to try to describe it to you as best I can. Scientists who want to genuinely do good work are not getting funded in the future because the future is now, and that's what we're doing. And so they decide to become porn stars on the side to fund their projects to actually save the planet. And in the last 2 arcs, I'm not going to get into each arc. It was a lot of fun. But basically, the Sexplorers had a really good time. And one of their number, Bree, left the group.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's sad. But they're still going to continue on and do their thing. And as we are starting off this new arc, and it's just kind of funny because we talked to Tim when we interviewed him about Money Shot and asked him like how it works with him and Sarah. And he's like, Sarah, does a really good job of punching up jokes and stuff. But this whole opening scene with Ocampo, if you told me that Sarah wrote this entire scene, I would not be shocked.
Yeah.
Like it's just her sense of humor. So basically she's sitting there like mourning the fact that her vibrator is broken. Her awful, awful cat is there who can talk because of a little device on it. I still love that, like, it says stuff like self-mate bad when she tries to masturbate.
Yeah.
Like, shake snake bad. Like, anyway, she's watching the news and she sees a really sexy scientist lady. And she's like, that's what we need. We need her. And so she's going to recruit her. And that's the pitch she makes to the group. So we get back to the group, and my girl Trinity Spheres is still there, so I'm very excited about that because I love her. Josue was very excited to see somebody else, so I'll just give you the moment to talk about him for a moment.
Oh my god, I could not believe I was this excited, this happy to have Supermassive Black Hole back. This character I thought I was going to loathe every punchline, but just makes me crack the fuck up. Like,
yeah. And the best part is, for those who've never read this book, Supermassive Black Hole is a white guy. And they do have a black guy in the group. And he took the name Supermassive Black Hole.
You smell familiar, Doug. You should know it. It's the love tummy it came out of. Get it, Omar?
Like,
I'm implying I fucked your mom. Dude, I couldn't go past this panel for a good fucking minute, dude.
My favorite line was, let me see if I can find it from him.
Yeah, there were definitely 2 moments.
It was, well, the recessive gene joke was pretty funny.
Yes.
But, and then of course the line where he says, I think I can absolutely stuff both of my balls in my asshole.
That's the one.
That was funny. But no, my favorite line was actually, let me see, I'm trying to find it, but while I'm looking, it's just a lot of fun. And they're doing their, like, we're going to go to this new planet, and all we have to do is work at this, basically work in a whorehouse for 24 hours. And I found it, by the way. You have to work at this whorehouse for 24 hours, and then we'll give you this thing that can help you save your planet. So, like, fuck, we'll do that. And what they find out is the new girl, who's insanely hot, isn't great at sex.
Yep.
Which is amazing to me. That's a great story. And luckily the group is able to spin it to be like, see, she's bad at sex. We're here to teach her. That's the point of this series now. And then, so their ratings still go up. The line I was thinking of is where he said, where they said, Doug, be respectful. They recognize 11 genders here. And he says, hey, I smash all ass equally. Front butt, mouth butt, butt. I love him so much. Like, it's so fun how a meathead can change just by making him accepting of LGBT people. Like, you can be such an awful character to such a great character like that. So, I would be remiss if I did not mention right off that, as I said, the artist has changed and she's doing an excellent job. I know she was anxious about what people would think of her art. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love it.
Oh, no, it's really cool. Good. And so, is she staying for the art or for the arc, or is this more kind of a one-shot issue? It does kind of have it does say end at the end of this particular issue instead of just like a regular to be continued.
She's taking over.
Oh, cool.
The show.
And also kind of like the story, just this little story, I felt more like of a mini one-shot to kind of keep this character final before, or if they're going to move on with her.
No, I mean she's already done the art for the next issue. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, no, she took over is what it was because she's been talking about it a lot on Twitter. She's a really fun Twitter follow. You guys should follow her. I don't know if you saw it, Josue, the bit where she's like, her parents are kind of uptight Catholics.
Oh yes,
she's drawing a porn comic, basically. Yeah. And I like the one where her mom's like, "Why is this one in a bag?" It's like,
I hope she got the Jeff Martel one. It's so crazy.
So love it. I'm just so excited it's back. It's one of our favorite comics. Period. It's just amazing. So, and we did get a tease that maybe Bree will be coming back because she does appear in the art for the next issue.
Right, so. And it's also just like what she says too, like for Ocampo, like her hopefulness.
Yeah, I don't like her and Bree together.
Oh, personally. No, me neither. But it's like, but for the story,
I felt they were kind of toxic, like for each other. Like, but I mean, it was fine when they're having sex and stuff. But I was like, no, I don't think they want the same thing, you know. But maybe they're gonna explore and grow. Mm-hmm. You know, that's what people do. So, but yeah, awesome. Loved it. Keep making money. Shot for Everton. All right, now we're gonna switch over to DC. I swear to God, to our listeners, I purchased Robin #2, and I cannot find a copy anywhere. I know I bought it. It's somewhere in my house. So I couldn't read it. So Sway, let's start off. You tell me about Robin #2.
Robin #2 was really good. Yes, of course he didn't die. It's the Lazarus Island. It literally opens up with him regenerating on some table and coming back to life.
I assumed.
And yeah, the whole issue is Ravager, Deathstroke's daughter, basically telling him, he's like, "You're a fucking idiot. I was about to tell you that there are rules, or that there also are rules in place when you just wanted to be your little dick boy self." And that's why he got killed by someone who you might have had a shot with, against killing. And yeah, and it took a really good moment because it's like, Ravager's like, yeah, it's like, basically there's like, one of the rules is you can only fight during the daytime. Like, it's like there's completely peace during at night, just so it doesn't have to be a complete carnage mess, and it doesn't have to be that short of a tournament. But in the meantime, everybody is immortal for this tournament, and you get 3 strikes. It's you get 3 strikes. Damien already wasted his 1, and when he found that out, he was just like, and then and so you don't have to hold back because it's like the whole immortality thing. It's like, oh, cool, game fucking on. And Damon goes on a quick killing spree just to even out the score, since he had like a really quick round 1 that didn't really count for him. So everybody gets like their first death, and then Robert says like, "Oh, cool, are you done showing off? Cool." There's 5 people you actually have to be worried about. Them being, Respawn, the Deathstroke. The actual Deathstroke ripoff, yeah. XXL, it's like a little Hispanic punching kid, literally almost like a Lil Mac.
Nice.
And of course, Flatline, who he actually found out firsthand. Black Swan, who was one of the people that he did kill in that quick round where he went on this quick little killing spree. But the thing is, as Ravager puts it, you got the drop on her once, it won't happen again. So it's like, all right, she definitely got bumped up. But if I had to say who was the biggest challenge on the island, it's who this whole book was about.
Connor!
Yeah. So that's actually really cool that they made him like the #1 like contender for the island. And yeah, it turns out that he's back, and I don't see this as a reason, but I guess like they're actually that close too. But right now, it's like the reason why he's back is because, or at least like in this tournament, this island, is that he's fighting for the League of Lazarus, which used to be part of the League of Shadows. So at least that's why he's kind of going like, at least not going dark side, but he's like at least there, not on his own accord.
For our listeners, when I say Connor, I mean Connor Hawk, not Connor King.
Yeah.
Just in case.
I actually said Hawk.
Yeah. I just thought about it. I was like, wait, there's
a great moment where at least like Damon goes and finds like his other duffel bag full of goodies, and Ravager finds his manga. Remember his manga?
Yeah.
So he's like, it's personal. So it's pretty much like him going around the island, or it's like actually getting a tour of the island instead of just being like, I know everything.
I'm going to kill everybody.
Yeah.
Do it. Like, yeah.
But again, the most important part is now that it's nighttime and he's going to go do his little thing. But again, there are rules, and who better to remind him than Flatline? But it actually doesn't become a fight. She literally becomes like, yo, just actually chill the fuck out. Like, she takes him to like a secret passage. Actually gives another tour. But in the end, she takes him to be like, yo, don't take everything so seriously. Plus, how about have some fun? And there's a reason why it's like nighttime. There's no fighting at nighttime, because at least give the contenders something to look forward to. And it's all the kids like literally enjoying their time. So it's a little twisted and it's a little fun, but it's just what Damien's Robin should be, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That's really awesome. I like that it's taken a darker turn.
Yeah.
You know, but fun. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. Nice. All right, let's dig into my stack of DCs.
Oh, yes.
Ruby and Justice League number 2. Once again, broken down into 2 stories. The first one, written by Marguerite Bennett, drawn by Stephanie Pepper, colored by Hi-Fi, and lettered by Gabriella Downey. The second story, I think, is a different creative team. Let me double check. Maybe not. Maybe it's the same creative team. I'll see if I find another creative team. But as we learned in the last one, we found once again, this is Ruby, the animated show, crossing over with DC Comics, specifically with the Justice League characters. And yeah, I don't see another creative team, but it's the same. Anyways, in the previous one, we had Ruby and her sister meet with her sister Yang. They met Superman technically, but he's a boy in this, and he's kind of different, obviously. We also had Blake Belladonna met with Wonder Woman, and in this one we have my favorite Ruby character, Weiss Schnee, and she met with a dapper young man in a suit at a party. So here's my girl.
Yeah, the ice one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's this dapper young man.
Nice.
And we find out they basically like try to shitty each other, basically. They're both shitty back and forth, and they gain respect because of it. And she introduces herself, my name is Weiss Schnee, and says, Bruce Wayne. So
honestly, I thought it was so much blue, I thought it was Grayson.
So he long story short, they're at this party at her parents' house because she's rich, and someone's watch is stolen, and they're trying to figure out who it is. Well, some people suspect it's Bruce Wayne, whose whole family's dead. He's the only one left. And the reason they suspect him is because in the Ruby world, I talked about this last issue, there are people that are part animal. Mm-hmm. Well, it turns out he is part bat.
Oh my god, that's actually really cute. I actually really like that.
Yeah. And so, like, ooh, a faunus. Bruce Wayne's a bat faunus? Like, ooh.
Oh, I actually love this.
So everybody has powers in this world. They're all a little different. Like, Clark isn't just Superman. He can do basically stuff while the sun's out.
Okay, yeah.
And Wonder Woman has other things, right? Bruce's only actual power is that he has a high-pitched whistle, like a bat. Like, yeah. And so he does it literally to make the chandeliers, like, vibrate. You can see it,
that's
like,
so silly, but
I know, it's wonderful.
Ears and the hair, it's too cute. I can't.
So basically, he's like, but I'm good at puzzles, and he figures out who stole the watch and why, and he solves the problem, right? So that's how they introduce the characters. Well, then they bring them all together. So this is a really good issue for those who might not know a lot about Ruby, because it introduces each of them in their little bits. It names their weapons. So, like, Ruby's like, I'm Ruby Rose, I wield Crescent Rose and can move at super speed. Which you haven't read or watched Ruby,
no.
Right? So check out that scythe she wields.
Oh, but yeah, I do know the design. That's sick as fuck.
Yeah. So I really like the Diana design a lot.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, basically they're like, hey, we all have to work together. And the best part is, so the Bruce intro, they're all talking about their powers. They're literally doing like, well, I have this thing. And then, Diana's like, in times of need, I can call upon 3 gifts. a tiara to keep my mind clear, a lasso to make the truth known, and gauntlets to defend all living things from harm.
It's actually a cool take on it.
And then it goes to Bruce, and it's like, what about you? And Weiss goes, Bruce has bat ears? Like, right there.
That is so funny.
And his rolling his eyes is great. And he rolls his eyes, she's like, well, you do not have gauntlets to defend all living things from harm. He's like, no, but I can detect patterns and unlock puzzles. and I have the Batwing, aka the gigantic axe my guardian got me.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
So good. It's just 2 batarangs on the end of a stick, guys. Like, it's just wonderful. And he keeps referring to his guardian. He's like, they're like, who is this guardian? He's like, he's also a butler. But it's fun. It's going to be them having to work together. It's going to be a cheesy crossover, but I don't care because it looks amazing.
I appreciate that Bruce Wayne is the butt end of the joke instead of just making a funny Flash, or a take on Aquaman and him being the butt end of the joke. This is fantastic.
Yeah, I love it. So I did get confirmation basically that my favorite characters aren't going to appear because in RWBY, everybody's divided into teams in the school. Okay. And that's Team RWBY, which are the main characters. But the other main characters are Team Juniper, which is their best friends. And those are my favorite characters. Okay. So they're not going to appear. And including Jean, who doesn't seem to have a power. He's like one of the few people there that does. I don't think anyone else doesn't have a power, but he finds it.
Well, if it's successful enough, like fuck it, like hopefully there's a sequel to it.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I would recommend the show if you guys like action anime with really cool choreography. It's not the best art. Don't get me wrong, because it is almost like video game CG art. But the action and the music alone make it worth it, because the music is like really upbeat, like rock with like this awesome female singer. She's the composer's daughter. She sings every song. Nice. It's really, really good. So,
well, like I'm sure, like I don't know, like to what extent like they own it or how they license it, but it seems like DC actually likes RWBY. They had that other series that didn't get that final issue, just digital form, but like, and now they're trying it again on this little. It's a weird spin-off. It's such a Marvel take of a spin-off or what if scenario that, like, hopefully they can run more with it.
DC used to do crossovers like this that were really fun, like Gen 13 Superman, which is one of my favorites ever, or like Spawn Batman, which was hilarious.
Oh yeah, I actually have that. One of those, yeah.
I like the part where he buries the fucking Batarang in Spawn's
It's literally how it ends.
Spawn's just smiling.
Like, justice. It's like, the end. It's like so dumb. Frank Miller.
Yeah. Next up, Harley Quinn #3. Not going to spend too much time on this because it was a development story. Okay. Written by Stephanie Phillips, art and cover by Riley Rossmo, colored by Ivan Placencia, and letter by N-World. Basically Harley's trying to set up the support group for the ex-clowns. So she sets it up and people actually show up. And so she's all excited to try to talk to them. And then a former guard at Arkham is working with Hugo Strange, and he shows up and breaks it up, and they get in a big fight. And he kidnaps one of the people, so Harley's got to get him back. So, yeah. It's good stuff. It's good. It's just not a lot to talk about in that issue specifically. Next up, Detective Comics 1036. I told us this. I can't believe I'm purchasing a Detective Comics comic in the year 2021 because I've never really liked Batman very much. But as we talk about the creative team, there's the reason. Yeah. Written by Mariko Tamaki and drawn by Dan Mora. I mean, I'll buy any book those two make. I don't care what it is. If they make a Joker book, I might give it a shot. Colored by Jordi Belair and letter by Aditya Bidikar. Actually, that's a pretty stacked group. Actually, I never thought about that. That's like some of the best in everything. I want to
get the trade for this.
Yeah, it's Bruce is investigating the death of a wealthy socialite, and when we left off, her body, like rotting body, seems to appear from nowhere, and she seems to be alive. So we're left on that cliffhanger. Well, Bruce carries her inside, and the body's like falling apart, and one of his neighbors is like, "What are you doing? Was that a body?" You know, and then he locks the door in her face, and she calls the cops because she just saw him carrying a body. Mm-hmm. And he finds out it's Lady Clayface. She's looking like the dead girl, but she's like, her body's falling apart. She can't keep her form. Right. And so what we find out is that after the destruction of Arkham, Lady Clayface was basically flushed into the sewers in an attempt to get away, but her form was kind of like messed up. She can't maintain form, but it's believed she witnessed the death of the woman, so she's the only witness to it, and Bruce needs to talk to her. And so him and Huntress are working together, and man, does Huntress look great. Look at this fucking shot.
Yeah, that's actually really cool.
It's really great. So they're working together, and they're going to, once they can take care of Lady Clayface, she can give them the information that they have. It's all coming back to, or they get some information from her, but the guy it takes her to is dead. He dies mysteriously. So I really think it's all coming back to the mayor and the whole magistrate thing we talked about before.
Okay.
So there's also part 2 of the Huntress backup story in the back about a friend of hers who died, and she's trying to find out who killed her. She goes to meet the girl's boyfriend who used to abuse her. Turns out he didn't kill her, but he still used to abuse her. So Huntress basically beats his ass and tells him, I'm going to take a very strong interest in the rest of your life, basically.
Shit.
And then you find out that he's been using the dead girl's credit cards and running them up. So she calls Oracle and she's like, do you want to take down someone for credit card fraud? And Oracle's like, always. So, yeah, it's just cool. So she's going to continue investigating that. I'm really liking that. It's really a lot of fun. So, boom. Next. Last DC book that I have solo. And Josue, you need to pick this up at some point because I want to get your opinion on it. Milestone Returns.
Oh, yes, right.
For those who don't know, Milestone was a comic publisher specifically designed to publish books starring people of color. And most of you know it because it's where Static Shock started. So Milestone, DC bought it out and didn't really do much with it for a while. But apparently they're in the process of trying to bring them back as their own little universe. It's not going to cross over with the DC universe, at least as far as I know. I think they said the same thing about Wildstorm, and look how long that lasted. But it mostly focuses on 3 stories. And I want to quickly go through the creative team because it's a lot. For the first story, written by Reginald Hudlin.
Nice.
Art by Dennis Cowan and Nicholas Draper-Ivey. Pencils by Dennis Cowan, Bill Sienkiewicz, and Chris Sotomayor. And also there's several artists for each story. Chris Cross, Juan Castro, Will Quintana, and letters by Ann World. I'm just going to list everybody, not try to say the individual things. Next story is written by Reginald Hudlin. Art by Jim Lee, Ryan Benjamin, Dennis Cowan, Jimmy Palmiotti, Ryan Benjamin, Don Ho, Dennis Cowan, Bill Sienkiewicz, Coy Pham, Scott Hanna. Colors by Alex Sinclair, Hi-Fi, Chris Sotomayor, and Ann World. I think that's everybody. So, the main story is about Static Shock. Of course, because he's the highlight character. Yeah. Everybody loves him. He's the Spider-Man. So, basically, it's like you see these very heavily armed guards, right? And they're like, there's a riot going on. And there's like tanks and stuff. And there's like these little canisters that say Ava Industries. It's like, is this new stuff? Yeah, it's supposed to be great. All right, let's load up. We need to shut this down and get things under control right away. And then we see what they're looking at. It's a Black Lives Matter protest. So they're like, hey, turn around. And they're like, stop killing innocent people and we will. And they fire the canisters at them. Well, the canisters were this crazy stuff that was not fully tested. And it basically starts killing these kids. It melts them for all intents and purposes. So, like, they're like, oh, shit, what the fuck was that? Like, what are we doing to these, kids and stuff? And basically what it does is a lot of these kids develop powers because of the stuff that was sprayed on them. That's how Static gets his power. The other story, that one goes on for a bit. The other story is the one that not enough people know about, but should really read because it's actually a lot of fun, which is Icon and Rocket. Icon is, it's an alien guy. It's hard to explain it. Okay, so he's an alien, and this is going to sound a lot like Superman, but I promise it's not. He's an alien, obviously from another planet. He has an insane amount of powers and advanced technology. He is discovered by a young girl in the neighborhood who wants to basically get rid of the drug dealers in the neighborhood and make the neighborhood safe. So she says, he's like, I would like to help your planet, but I don't really know how. And she's like, well, help me with this. So they take out the local drug dealers. And that turns into them basically trying to eliminate the entire drug trade across the entire planet. And I really like them because he's stupid powerful, and she's got some powers now. One thing I thought you'd really like, and this is one of the moments I was really liking, she jumps out of their plane and lands on the ground, right? And then one of her powers is she stores kinetic energy.
Oh, shit.
So it's really small here. You can see her running and start to glow. Yeah. She absorbed all the kinetic energy from jumping out of the plane and just goes right through a building.
Oh, like, yeah, you can just like unleash all that box. That'd be cool.
Yeah, so it's really a lot of fun. And she's young. She's in high school. She actually goes to the same high school as Static Shock. Cool. And then the other character that we're dealing with is Hardware. Hardware is kind of like a midway between like a Batman or an Tony Stark. Tony Stark. He ran the company that made the stuff that killed these kids and gave some of them powers. He sent a thing saying, "Hey, this isn't tested. Don't use this." But they used it anyways, and when it backfired, they deleted any record that he said that, and they're blaming it all on him. Oh. And so he's having to deal with that. So all this comes back to one story, basically this riot. And it's really cool. There's a lot of really great reveals. And Icon and Rocket is a lot of fun. Kind of like, imagine, okay, like Wolverine and Jubilee when they run around. Imagine Wolverine with Superman instead.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot like that. It's a lot of fun. And you see Static and like the bully that's always picking on him, he got powers too. He has fire.
Oh, no shit.
So they're having fights and stuff in school, no less. And it's just really cool. But one of the best parts is, I'm going to spoil a big reveal, but everybody should read this book. You find out that the reason the cops thought there was a riot is because the bully, who's a white dude, by the way, was picking on Static at the protest and then called the girl a slut. So Static punched him and they got into a fist fight and they thought it was turned into a riot. Well, they used it as an excuse, let's be honest, to open fire. So he might have some guilt about that too, like that if he had kept his temper, that wouldn't have happened and stuff. So this is really good. It's a really good re-intro to Milestone. And there are some additional characters. Those are the three that we mainly focused on, and they did announce 3 new series coming out of this. So we are getting Static as a new series, and it's going to be written by
Vita, right? Yeah.
Ayala, yes. And art by Chris Cross and Nicholas Draper-Ivey. Icon and Rocket is going to be written by Reginald Hudlin and Leon Shills, and art by Doug Braithwaite. And Hardwire is going to be written by Brandon Thomas and drawn by Dennis Cowan and Bill Sienkiewicz. So they're putting some real talent into this.
Right. Oh my god, is that the ENIAC artist? Like, it's going to look incredible.
It is.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Here's a cover if you want to see it.
Yeah. Okay, they're doing some good. See, these are good moves. Like, put some solid creators to these great ideas. Like, come on, DC. These are the moves they should be making. And like, you got me thinking when you. It's always been said. It's always been kind of been thought about. But as soon as you said DC Spider-Man for Static Shock, and it's not even just like to kind of like give a jab to Static, but it's like, imagine a fraction of like the amount of history that Spider-Man has for Static, the amount of rogues, or like just seeing Static popping in and out, or him actually being in this fucking book. Like,
right.
God, like, come on, DC. Like, this should have been a thing like forever ago. It's a shame.
Yeah. I mean, he's incredibly popular. The cartoon was loved. I mean, I understand, like, there's some baggage behind it. And I know the rest of the series, the rest of the characters didn't really take off like Static did. Mm-hmm. So obviously, like, there's an issue there. But I mean, just take a shot.
Seriously,
you know what I mean?
Or just keep it going. Where it's just like at some point it's gonna click, but it's just like I just having like Static having like 200 issues just because it's been like ongoing like ASM for like the last 15 years, and
like, I don't know. Miles Morales.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then we can't talk about Milestone unless I bring up this. Rest in peace, Dwayne McDuffie.
Oh yeah,
the shit Dwayne McDuffie did and put up with from fans, for the record. Being a black man who wanted to make story about black people before, like now, look at now the shit you get for trying to do that on Twitter and stuff. This was before it's even, yeah. But he put it a lot. Rest in peace, dude. I'm so glad to see Static coming back.
Yeah.
For, just to keep his legacy going. So it leads us to our last DC book, and it's the one that we share. And it's Teen Titans Academy number 3. We're continuing the story of Who is Red X. Written by Tim Sheridan, penciled by Rafa Sandoval, inked by Jordi Tarragona. We got some art by Max Rayner, coloring by Alejandro Sanchez and Alex Sinclair, and letter by Rob Lay. So basically, the old adult Titans are trying to figure out who is Red X. Let's figure out who this is. Meanwhile, we have the Suicide Squad and John Cena with his shiny metal helmet, who I just can't take the character seriously.
Yeah.
Like, it just looks ridiculous. Like, I get it.
One of the most obvious movie pushes, for sure.
Yeah. Do you remember when the New 52 happened? And I'm not saying this is what's happening, but this popped in my head. When the New 52 happened, and all the books got like 3 issues in, and then every single one of them, the next issue, crossed over with a different book.
Oh, yeah.
They all did it in the same week.
Yeah.
I was like, what in the fuck? And it was it felt so forced, it really bothered me. So a little bit here, because I really don't like Suicide Squad, and I like Teen Titans Academy. So, but yeah, we get a couple cool things. We get to see Crush, and they draw Crush awfully sexy lately. I was like, I don't want a sexy Lobo. Well, I mean, guess
I didn't actually notice her posture until just now, like when she comes into the scene.
Yeah, she looks good. Don't get me wrong. I'm assuming she's an adult, so that's good. She's also fictional. I mean, so but yeah. And then we get a lot more information about one of our favorite characters so far, and we get kind of a flashback to what happened in her childhood.
Bolt.
And I'm Bolt, yeah. What's her real name? Was it like Alita? Alinta, that's what it was. I was trying to find Alinta, but Bolt. And she basically sees this mathematical formula and then is suddenly able to sprint. Like super stupid fast. And I'm like, is that like part of the Speed Force formula? Mm-hmm. Like, and I'm like, that's really cool, but she doesn't have it fully. She can only do bursts. So, I just love this character. I love that it's an amputee, and they actually made an amputee a character that has a physical power. You know what I mean? I mean, most amputees are going to be like Professor Xavier.
Projectiles, beams, yeah.
Yeah, so it's cool that she's like that. She's very physical. So the Suicide Squad's basically coming in to take Bolt. Why? I don't know, because I don't read Suicide Squad. So
they hinted in the vaguest way that it's like Amanda Waller's fault, or in a way Amanda Waller has this over her, a child, and has to work for her. It's like the way it's painted. I actually hate it.
I think it's because they mentioned that her parents were drug dealers. Yeah. But if Amanda Waller's holding that over her head, that makes Amanda Waller worse than I ever thought.
That's my issue.
Yeah, so I just don't like reading books about bad people. I don't know what it is. So, but the Teen Titans part of this is fun. The Suicide Squad breaks in. They're able to stealth their way in, but then Superboy fucks everything up, as he usually does. And then they get into a big fight, but they're with literally every Titan in existence. Like, all the kids show up, and it's a big fight. Talon, was Talon one of the Court of Owls people?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Talon seems to be the one that Amanda Waller can count on to basically do whatever it takes to make the hard decisions, to kill if need be, and stuff like that. So, but yeah, they fail, and they teleport out, and yeah, we see that, and that was a lot of fun. I think, as a crossover, sure, I hope we don't get too bogged down on stuff outside the Academy, because I really like the Academy.
I know, no, for sure.
And then we have we have where they're still trying to figure out who Red X is, and we get a tease that the world's greatest detectives are on the case now, and we get the reveal of the Bat Pack, which is just excellent. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. More Bolt, always good.
Yes.
I liked Crush. I'm not a fan of Lobo in general, but I am liking Crush a bit. From what I've seen.
Oh, she was so justified leaving the group, like the way she did, where it was just like, you guys fucked everything up, and you're mad at me, especially against like Donna Troy. Is like, you fucking thought I was gonna murder somebody? Like, nah, bitch, I'm out. Especially if you see me like that, then there's the rest of them have no hope. So I just totally justified. And also, Red X has like, he either stole Spawn's cape or has nothing but he's like the only one that has like the glamour shots with this cape. It seems like every time the panel is gonna come to him, he has to go whoosh just so it looks like really fucking good for the panel. Nice. Also, any new theories for Red X? There's no way it's Damien. He's too tall.
No, I don't think it's a character we know.
Okay,
or I mean, I think it's a character we know, but I don't think it's a student. I don't think it's one of the Teen Titans. I think it's a character outside of it, and I think it's a Dodge.
Ooh, okay. I was wondering, it's like, if it's not Damien, could it be just Tim? Like, his only way to let loose, be a bad boy? Other than that, nobody would believe him.
No Tim. Ixnay on the intake. So, all right, let's move on to Marvel. Let's start with Miles Morales.
Cool. This is Miles Morales, Spider-Man, number 26, Legacy issue number 266. And this is by Saladin Ahmed, art by Carmen Carnero, and coloring by David Guriel, lettering by Corey Petit. This is part 2 of Miles Morales' turn at his Clone Saga. And where we last left off, it was him facing the 3 Miles. The handsome-looking one, the spider horrendous-looking one, and the globby-looking one. And he gets a lowdown on this in this confrontation. His name is Selim, which at first I thought was like, are you serious? You're just gonna make Miles backwards as like the dude's name? And he's like, I am Selim. These are my brothers. We are you, but better. And this one I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, really? Fucking Saladin, you're gonna like just flip the name. But then it's like, oh shit, it's actually really fucking perfect. Selim means undamaged in Arabic. I am fluent in 7 languages, Cantonese, German, enough Spanish to know that yours is embarrassing. So I'm like, oh shit, it's actually a real word and they can actually run with it and it's actually perfect. So that's really cool. And also, for someone who are like, for a character that they're really pushing that they're just like a person of color, Miles Morales should have actually been a lot more fluent in Spanish, especially who his mom is and how she is. And they've made his grandma, her mom, a character to be like that, like uptight Mexican grandma or like Latino grandma. So it's like, yeah, I kind of do wish that Miles would have had better Spanish. So nice call out there.
It's actually played off a little bit in the game that his Spanish isn't great.
Okay,
the new one, yeah.
So yeah, it was cool. It's kind of a cool call out there from like his counterpart. So yeah, it really becomes like a 3-on-1. As soon as Miles makes a move, the big lobby one just gets bigger and in his face, and it literally becomes a 3-on-1. And he's like, "There are 3 of us, and you do not have any brothers." Triggered the cue for all the other spiders. That creepy carbon copy is where you're wrong, and Spider-Man shows up. So fuck yeah, let's even the odds here, and it becomes a really cool fucking fight. Like at least like at this one, at least Peter is able to just like believe every word Miles is saying when he wasn't before, which is still total bullshit. I hate that Peter can just be like, tell me what's been going on and I'm not going to believe you until shit happens. But yeah, at least like they're able to get away. Like it's like they're pretty much like it's like disappear, which I think they also have Miles's cloaking ability. They do the rounds around the city and they're just like, Peter's like, gee, we need to stop. Like if anything, I can definitely tell that you need to stop. Like, because Miles wants to keep going all night, and Peter's like, I've been there. Like, I've been in my dark times where I've definitely messed with my fucking Clone Saga shit, so I know what you want to do right now, and it's not helping. You need to focus on being Miles. And he kind of gets that, but at the same time, it sounds like, okay, Peter, you should have been here maybe, like, I don't know, maybe 2 volumes ago, instead of just like in the beginning of Miles's 616 Spider-Man career, you've just been like, you're in charge of New York while I'm out of here. And that's that, just being super just like a like patronizing towards him. And now it's kind of like, yeah, he probably needed these words like a while back ago. so so Miles goes back home. He's able to focus. He remembers he had like a paper to do. And when he gets home, it's like Genki's there being like with his arms crossed. And he's like, so you want to punch me in the face now? And it's like, oh shit, we're coming back to it. Like Genki wasn't over with like the conversation where we left off. And and I thought that, but apparently the clones also have Miles's phone number, a clone of Miles's phone number, and they texted Miles's ex, Genki's current girlfriend, a bunch of bullshit that they're fighting, and just to trigger Genki, and then be like, yo, no, bro, like it's not me. So of course he believes them because it wasn't true.
Yeah.
And yeah, Miles gets like some me time, at least for the night. He finishes his paper and stuff, while Genki is able to kind of like track the phone, since it's a copy of his phone, find my phone, and is able to work. So literally does not sleep all night, works on the paper, finishes the paper, and goes back out into the city to just like keep doing the thing. He's able, and then this is kind of where the issue wraps up. He does find where the clones are hiding, only they're not there, and he finds like a lab, like a twisted lab, and he literally just like, oh shit, this is how they're making more of me. Well, not anymore, and destroys the whole thing. And then that's when they show up, the clones, and I'm just like, what's the meaning of this? You came back here to get, wait, no, why? Why would you take away our only cure? And they fuck him up, and they're about to like rip him apart. And so they tie him up, they web him up, and it's like, you just destroyed the only way we can actually cure ourselves or to sustain life. So before we die, you're gonna fucking die too. And that's what's the to be continued. So it's like, oh shit, oh no. It's like a slightly different take on the Clone Saga, but yeah, that's Miles Morales right now.
Nice. All right, I have a couple solos. I'm gonna quick fire. Dr. Aphra number 10. This one wraps up the current story about the special engines that can go insanely fast, and long story short, I'm not going to get too much into it, but she saves the day. So written by Alyssa Wong, penciled by Ray Anthony Height, inked by Victor Olazaba, colored by Rochelle Rosenberg, and lettered by Joe Caramagna. But the important part is this is the prelude to War of the Bounty Hunters, which is going to be a Star Wars crossover in Marvel Comics. I think it's going to cross over with the Darth Vader book, if I remember correctly. So they do set that up with the the extra, the outro. There we go. And she's getting pitted against her old partner, Just Lucky. It's going to be really, really cool. I'm excited about it. It is going to get its own run, Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters number 1. So I'm very excited about that. And I'm really, really, really ecstatic about it. That's really fun. So moving on from here, what I'm going to go ahead and do is talk about my next book that's solo, and that is Reptile number 1. So Reptile is a young hero that was in Avengers Academy, and I really liked him. His power is he can transform into dinosaurs, which is kind of silly, but also a lot of fun. And they decided to give him his own book, and I hope this means he's going to be joining a team of some sort or something like that. I think he could definitely fit into I think he can definitely fit into one of the young hero teams. So Josue, Reptile, I asked you if you got it. You said you didn't pick it up, but or that you thought you did. It was just like me with Robin.
Yeah, exactly. I swear I have it around. It's going to pop up.
So it's a shame because I think this book's right up your alley.
Man.
It refers back to Avengers Academy quite a bit. Real quick, creative team. Written by Terry Bloss, penciled by Enid Balam, inked by Victor Olazaba, colored by Carlos Lopez, and lettered by Joe Sabino. So he goes back home to Arizona, and it's actually Carefree, Arizona, which is actually pretty close to where I live. And the whole thing is he's no longer a superhero. He's retired and all this stuff because his uncle's like sick and he wants to take care of him and things like that. So they do little teases like, did you read Avengers Academy?
Briefly. It was probably for like a tie-in or two.
So in that, my favorite character was Finesse.
Okay.
and who is the Taskmaster's daughter, by the way.
Okay, cool.
And she has the same powers, and she's awesome. But they date, and it's like it's a weird relationship where he doesn't feel like he was ever in control. Like it's finesse. She was going to be in control, and then now he's like, I'm going to. And they actually tie it into Outlawed, where he's like, and now there's Kamala's Law, where I can't do my powers anymore because I don't have a sponsor. And he meets the family he's going to be living with, which is his aunt, who is a doctor who can help take care of the uncle that's sick. His cousin Ava, who, quote, has always been a bit of an overachiever and is an avid reader, already taking college courses, even though she's in high school. And then there's Julian, Eva's twin. And Julian is a dapper young man, and I love him. He's a vlogger who makes videos about fashion and pop culture. So they end up sharing a room, and it's a pretty dope room, actually. So you can kind of see it's like a loft room.
Oh, nice.
But the first thing I saw, and I'm like, ooh, Josue, I love that. They have a painting of Frida Kahlo right there on the wall. That's cool. So, yeah. And then, not a page later, we see he's got a Selena shirt on.
That's a cool long sleeve. Damn. Yeah, I need to find this book or actually go get it.
Yeah. And then they're talking about, like, the big thing is with Reptile's parents, they're presumed to be dead. In the thing where he got his powers, they presume to have died. Then they go to Santee Alley in Los Angeles, which just looks like so much fun. One of them refers to it as the Mexican Disneyland, and the other one says Disneyland is Mexican Disneyland. So I thought it was pretty funny. His twin Julian, or his cousin Julian, walking around speaking Spanish. He seems to be the one that speaks Spanish the best, and he's ordering tacos for them. And Reptile's all excited. It's like his first authentic taco in years. And then his supervillain attacks. And he's like, you just ruined my first authentic taco in years, which I thought was a great line. And they get into a fight. He has to use his powers to save the kid. He uses it super creatively, which I kind of want to see what you thought. Because he doesn't just transform into a dinosaur, he uses parts of dinosaurs.
Oh, okay.
So, like, you can see, like, right here, he has, like, a Triceratops head.
Yeah.
But with a normal tail, because he's, like, ramming the dude. And, like, he just uses bits and parts of different dinosaurs and stuff. And he's about to be killed, and then his overachieving cousin fires a blast of energy.
Ooh.
And then she looks in her hands like, what? And then she passes out. And so Reptile basically shuts it down. There's a really cool shot where the bad guy's like, this ends now. He's like, you're right, we're done here. And he's got like the...
Oh, that's so cool.
Like the dinosaur eye? Yeah. And so he jumps him, he basically is about to take the guy out, and the guy's like, I know something you don't. I know where your parents are. And that was the tease.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty fun. I really enjoyed it. So, I'm excited for Reptile to get his own book. I was a big fan of Avengers Academy, specifically Finesse, Hazmat. I really liked Hazmat quite a bit.
I think it was,
and then
I think it was like during the time where it was just like, because it was kind of Civil War-ish era. So it's definitely a book that was a pro Tony. So it's kind of like, I can't.
It was just post Civil War.
Yeah, because
it was part of the initiative.
The kids who were actually like signed up. Yeah.
But it was funny because it was kind of like they were almost like the young Thunderbolts, not the young Avengers. If you know the hook behind it, because basically, well, it's not a spoiler because it's been around forever. Avengers Academy, they had all these students, but they weren't students that they thought would be good heroes. It was students they were worried were going to become villains.
Oh, I see.
And so they're trying to train out of them.
No wonder. I was wondering what happened with, like, I was wondering what the deal was with, like, the bulky Red Skull looking kid.
Metal.
Yeah.
Metal is one of my favorites, too, actually. He's a surfer from Hawaii. Oh. Yeah, and he's too heavy to float on a surfboard now. It's the biggest tragedy of all.
That sucks.
But yeah, I really liked Avengers Academy. That's probably going to be in our book club.
That's cool.
Point,
I'll be down.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Next up, let's start talking about books we share. We're going to start off with a banger. Battery Bill number 3.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Written and drawn by Daniel Warren Johnson, colored by Mike Spicer, and lettered by Joe Sabino with Daniel Warren Johnson. So Beta Ray Bill is going into Muspelheim to get a weapon, which is Surtur's sword. As they enter, something happens, and his ship spawns a sexy robot lady body that is also the ship. She controls both. And we just get this non-stop, action-packed, hilarious story. I loved this book. It's just a lot of action. It's Scourge the Executioner being over the top and ridiculous. It's Pip the Troll trying his best to keep up.
And being super cool. Super action-packed Pip. Before I even reached the halfway point of this issue, I didn't say I want to see this movie. I literally said out loud, I want to play this fucking game.
Yes. So basically, they discover they have to dive through some lava, and they're trying to like Scuttlebutt is trying to reinforce the ship to make it stronger. And then we get what is the most random, but one of my favorite bits about it is Beta Ray Bill has played ping pong against himself on the journey because he's been alone for a chunk of it. Well, him and Scuttlebutt have a ping pong game, and they not only have a ping pong game, they have a straight up anime ping pong game where the ball is like bending shape and shit, and everything looks all exciting. Right in the middle of, they're in hell basically, and they're having a ping pong battle. It's amazing, love it. But yeah, so Scuttlebutt's trying to figure out what's going on with her, why she is the way she is, like why she have, basically a soul, it seems like now. And she gives him a new axe that's polycarbon nanite steel, mini power thrust action, latching alternate blade attachments. And then he puts it to good use and kicks a bunch of ass. We also get Scourge doing his famous pose with the two gigantic guns going, let's do this, like gunning a bunch of people down. They fight a bunch of demons. It's a lot of fun. It's just such a fun book. Like, so much fun stuff happens. Fun is the word. I'm just keeping it fun.
It's just so awesome. Like, Scourge at one point cries because of how awesome everything is. It literally became my Twitter picture because it was awesome. It was my favorite panel of the week.
And I literally feel like Daniel Warren Johnson went to Marvel, was like, I want to do a Beta Ray Bill book. And they're like, okay, well, do you want to use any other characters? He's like, yes. They're like, who? He's like, I don't know. And they're like, oh, well, let's get the randomizer. And they pull out this machine that literally has every Marvel character in it. And they're like, hit the button. It's like, Scourge the Executioner. Pip the Troll. He's like, all right. like, I love it. But it's so much fun. It's just, I love it. All right. Let's move on to a finale.
Ooh.
Maestro, War and Pax, number 5. I got this variant, Gulliver travel style with all these little dooms trying to hold him down.
Oh, that's so cool. I actually didn't see that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, cover A for me.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, it's, I think it's Joshua Kazara. Yeah, I think it was Joshua Kazara. Nice. So Maestro has taken out the Pantheon, and now the end aim, and the only person left is Dr. Doom. He goes back to his base, and they're like, oh, you're back. You told us you weren't going to come back. They're like, who? Him. Pointing up to Dr. Doom. So, creative team, real quick. Written by the wonderful Peter David. Drawn by Javier Pina and German Peralta. Colored by Jesus Bertov and lettered by Travis Lanham. Banner, or I should say Maestro, he would hate that. Maestro and Doom seem to be in agreement. Like, oh, good, we're working together. And they have a dinner together. And Doom's like, yeah, we're going to unite and rule the world. And Maestro's like, I poisoned your wine, basically. And he went to the well once too often. And they get into a fight because, of course, Doom was prepared for that. And then they get this cool fight, superhero fight. You can imagine what it looks like. It's a lot of fun. But because Maestro's smart, he outsmarts Doom, and he happens to put him between two gigantic electromagnets and just shreds him of all of his armor, which was absolutely brutal. I was like, good God, man. And then Maestro just starts beating the shit out of him, breaking his bones. Doom manages to grab his helmet and teleport away.
I like that part where Maestro's like, you, what happened to your face? Did I do that?
He's like, no, Reed Richards did yet.
He's like, oh, okay, I'm good then. I'm sorry, I took it too far. But
and then, so basically he's like, well, I hope he stays away. And then he teases at the end, he's going to find a very imperfect future. And then the guy who's like Hulk's or Maestro's second in command finds Doom's time platform, the time machine. So, and then we get a 1-page tease. and tells us, and we know by the thing at the end of this, we have had 2 Maestro series so far. There's one more. There's going to be a trilogy of Maestro miniseries.
Yeah, I thought with Future Imperfect that would have completed the trilogy to just tell the origins, but the fact that we're actually getting a modern day trilogy for that setup is really cool.
Yeah, called World War M.
Yeah.
So, and it's got some character designs, including Namor-looking vampire as fuck. So, I love it.
Namor, wow! Like I'm blown away. Like the little goatee, everything, the vampire-esque, the armor, the cape. Maestro, don't you fucking mess with this Namor! I swear to God.
Next up, let's talk about Marvels 2.
Okay.
So this is the one that's the big crossover we've been talking about. Featuring some new characters, featuring some old characters. A lot going on here. But let's kind of go through it. Basically, it's around the nation of, what was it again? It's a fake one that Marvel makes up. Cian Kong?
Oh, yeah.
Was it Cian Kong? Cian Kong. Okay, yeah. So basically, we got this one guy who basically gives people superhero tours and also looks like he works for the Tinkerer, his uncle, to find devices at the scene of fights and bring them back to him to sell. So he seems to be the main character of this. He runs into the Black Cat, and basically she's like, "Oh, I've worked with the Tinkerer. Go ahead and take that thing." So that was fun. We don't see a lot of the big characters we saw last issue, and we also don't see, because this takes place across 3 time frames. We don't see the future time frame,
right?
Which we saw last time, which I don't think we'll come back to till I really need to. We do get to see Human Torch and Thing flying through the air, talking about it, the movie, and about how Ben doesn't like it. He prefers books, which I thought was pretty great. But yeah, it's just kind of a cool setup and gives us an idea of what to expect. We get a really cool appearance by Arrow, AERO, and also Melinda May from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. makes an appearance, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a fun one. It's a kind of a setup. I'm very interested in it, and I like the cover for the next issue because we get to see Reed and Ben Grimm on a government mission before they were the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Probably just seeing Kong, and that is Bucky on the side.
I know.
So, yeah. A lot of fun. I mean, like, it's touching on a lot of the different corners of the Marvel Universe, just like a book called The Marvels should.
Yeah.
You know? So, anything else you want to say about it?
No, it was a quick one, just like to kind of set up, like, the major interesting point was, like, the entities kind of setting up the points of, like, the strands and patterns and stuff like that. But again, setting up stuff for much, much later.
Yeah. Awesome. And next up, we're going to dive into Heroes Reborn. We had 4 books this week. So we got 2 of them. So I'll talk about the ones he did not pick up first. Siege Society.
These don't have anything to do with talking about Heroes Reborn 4 first. The main book.
No.
Okay. Because
they're kind of concurrent.
This event, it has been really weird how it's been telling the story.
It didn't do it like Peter Parker. None of them are like Peter Parker,
Okay.
Where it runs directly to it. So, Siege Society, one of the things I love about this is we were talking about how it's kind of like there's a whole alternate world where a lot of things have happened that we're never going to see. So in this one it says, Squadron Supreme have been split by a civil war that pitted Hyperion against Nighthawk and forced the rest to pick sides. The war is now over, but the Squadron are still divided. So basically Nighthawk, who's their version of Batman, goes to England to set up a base. This one's written by Cody Ziegler, drawn by Paco Medina, colored by Pete Pentazis, and lettered by Joe Sabino. This one's fun. This is kind of like Suicide Squad. I think it's their version of Suicide Squad. Because it's Baron Zemo, and he's leading a team with Black Widow, Scarlet Speedster, Sabretooth, Hawkeye, which is Clinton Barton, by the way, Scott Lang, I think he's called Red Ant in this, and a version of U.S. Agent where he's Russian instead, but it's still John Walker. But his name is like Walkovich or something like that. So basically their whole thing is they're breaking into Nighthawk's base, and they actually do really good against them. They kill a bunch of Squadron Supreme people, but it's like the B team. So this book answered my question of, is Tom Thumb going to appear in this series? Because Squadron Supreme, they had a character named Tom Thumb. He's just a short guy who's really good at inventing things, and that's pretty much it. So he does appear. I believe he survives, but he took a pretty bad hit. They kill off Amphibian, which is their version of Aquaman. You get to meet a bunch of the other like blatant ripoffs, and it's very funny. Like Golden Archer, who's very much Hawkeye. Blue Eagle, who's very much Hawkman. Or not Hawkeye, Green Arrow, I mean, and then Hawkman. And then there was one more. What was it? Arcana, which is their version of Zatanna. She has to rhyme her spells and stuff. So.
Okay, yeah.
But in the end, the squadron wins. And because you read the other two, this starts the theme that we're going to be talking about with Heroes Reborn, which is, man, this is unsettling.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about with Heroes Reborn, but you know the tease at the very end of Heroes Reborn 4? Mm-hmm. It happens here too.
Oh, okay.
So, can you read that? You know the Sex Pistols, God Save the Queen?
It's not, okay. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, with the name. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to it, guys. But yeah, they win. It was fun. It was a fun little backup story. You got Magneto in the Mutant Force,
yes.
right? Okay, so I'll talk about Young Squadron. Young Squadron is kind of like a Young Avengers story. Written by Jim Zub. Mm-hmm. Drawn by Stephen Cummings. Colored by Eric Arciniega. Lettered by Clayton Cowles. And it's kind of like Nova, Miles, and Kamala, but in a different world. So in this world, Nova sees Doc Spectrum, who we're going to talk about in a bit. He's about to get beat by MODAK. Yes, MODAK, not MODOK, which stands for Mobile Organism Designed Always to Conquer. And they're fighting, and he's actually about to beat Doc Spectrum when the kid grabs the gem, and he becomes a little kid version of Doc Spectrum. Yeah. And he becomes a sidekick called Kid Spectrum. So, then we have Kamala Khan, who discovers that her supervisor at a museum is smuggling contraband to the mafia. And so she tries to contact Power Princess, but decides to take matters into her own hands. So she grabs a tiara in the stuff that's being Utopian Circlet, I should say, that's being smuggled, puts it on, and then suddenly she has like these cool little gauntlets and stuff and runs in. She takes them all down, and then Power Princess shows up. She's like, and she goes, "Merciful Mephisto, what happened here?" Yeah. And then she's like, "I wasn't going to steal it. I just wanted to help." And then Zarda is like, "Keep it. We have a new or you're a new hero, and I'm going to name you Girl Power."
Oh my God, I hate these names for the
I know,
women.
it's so bad. It's so bad. It gets worse. So then we get Nighthawk, and when they talk about Falcon dying, which that we talked about, that was a sidekick, and we have Miles being like, "Man, I really wanted to be Falcon so bad." So he decides to invent a bunch of stuff, and he becomes Falcon, and he's like a little kid version of Falcon. And he saves Nighthawk, and Nighthawk's like, "What are you doing?" And he's just like, he says, "What in Mephisto's name do you think you're doing?"
Here's where they start dropping it, really.
Yeah, and he's just like, "I'm helping you." And he's like, "No, you can't. You're a kid." And he's like, "I get it, boss. I'm willing to make that sacrifice if that's what it takes." He's like, "Absolutely not," basically. So he goes by Falcon. But basically, the three of them meet up and they become a team, and they fight the wrecking crew, and they're doing their thing, and it's just very much like this is what happens. And then some smoke grenades go off nearby after they take out the wrecking crew and knock them all out. And who shows up? But Deadpool.
Oh shit. Ooh, okay.
See the mallet in his hand?
Oh my God. Yeah.
And he's all like snappy, and he takes Kid Spectrum. No, he takes Falcon. Sorry, he takes Kid Falcon, whatever, with him, and kidnaps him. And you find out that that Falcon was killed by the Goblin, which is the Joker, basically. And Deadpool is like, and he was my bestest pal in the whole world. And I'm like, Yeah. So he's Harley Quinn, basically.
They could have like retained Deadpool as Deadpool and then just him knowing that he was the copy of Deathstroke.
I was thinking that too, actually. So, but there's like little hints that he knows something more is going on too. So yeah, but basically they stop him, and then Nighthawk shows up to take Deadpool into custody, and he's like, I don't know how he keeps getting out of Ravencroft Asylum. And I was like, it's a bit on the nose.
Yeah.
But basically, he's like, hey, where's that Falcon kid? And the other two are like, I don't know. And they're like, yeah, he doesn't look like he wants to help. And Deadpool basically tells them, hey, they're not here to help you. They're not good guys. Like, it's like, they're bad guys. And so the Young Squadron decides not to be the Young Squadron. They're not going to call themselves that anymore.
Oh, okay.
And so they're going to be, they said, let's be the heroes they should always have been. And it's like, not just heroes, champions.
Oh, okay. I thought.
And Nova goes, that name's not bad. So
they're going to like spin into some sort of like for Titans instead.
Oh, no, yeah. So, all right. That takes us to Magneto and the Mutant Force. So this is basically the mutant story in this world. I'm sure we're only going to get the one, really. Written by Steve Orlando, drawn by Bernard Chang, colored by David Curiel, and lettered by Clayton Cowles. Basically, in this world, mutants have an island. It's not Krakoa. We don't have the same thing going on. But we find out that the Squadron basically want to take out the mutants. And they took out Xavier, but Xavier has taken refuge in Magneto's brain, basically. And they're trying to get Xavier out. And it felt very much like the scene from Days of Future Past, the movie, in the future, where everybody's just trying to hold it off while Wolverine's in the past and they keep dying and stuff. Yeah. And it's really cool. And one of the things I really like, Frenzy features very heavily, and I love Frenzy.
Yeah. I actually dig her John Romita Jr. like design vibe.
Oh, like the big, really buff look? Like, yeah. And I really like the fact they showed this school, right? And they're like, oh, that's where he taught his original 5 students. And 4 of them look very familiar. But Cyclops does not look like Cyclops. I think that's Urg.
Oh, what?
Who was a Morlock. He also has eye rays.
Oh.
And he has that hair.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was going to be, in this case, his son. What is it? Who we just saw in Way of X.
Legion?
Yeah.
It might be Legion.
I thought it'd be Legion of X is like his actual son, and it's like a little leader, and a little leader position. And yeah, it's mostly because of the hair.
Yeah. I was thinking Urg just because I'm an X Factor fan. And he played a pretty big role in X Factor at one point.
The position of his hands, does Urg have like projectiles or something that can like position himself that way?
No, I didn't think about that. But yeah, he's just a Morlock. He also is missing an eye, but I mean, this is a different world, so that might not even be the case, So they're trying to awaken Xavier the whole time, and finally, it's like Power Princess and Hyperion. They're basically killing mutants left and right, trying to get through. And then all of a sudden, they start fading from existence. And they're like, our cells are changing. We're just blinking out of existence. Stop them. It has to be one of them. And they're gone. Oh, and the other thing, Sabra is all over this, and I love Sabra. Such an underused character. So we're like, what's going on? What's happening? And we discover that the professor did not come back. And this is such a great... For a story I did not like, really, this is a great way to use it in this world. Because the part that escaped Professor Xavier wasn't Professor Xavier. It was Cassandra Nova, which is his, twin sister who shared basically a body with him in the womb. So in this world, she was still in his body and managed to escape when he didn't. So that was a cool thing. I kind of wish these weren't one-shots. We've said it a couple times now.
Just a little bit.
So I could be like, oh, now what? And they're like, no, we're not going to tell you. So, but yeah, it's fun. What'd you think?
This one was really cool, especially, I always forget.
It's grim.
And I always forget, especially because when you see Xavier being actually chopped in half, and not in a vertical or horizontal way, literally down diagonal, with his arm in the way too. It was pretty brutal. Also did these little editor notes to make more jabs towards DC. MSP with Power Princess began way back in Catastrophe Encounter Earth.
Yes.
Crisis,
Excellent.
right?
Yeah, totally.
But I always forget about Cassandra. I thought the whole like being inside Magneto's brain was, and then again because we just saw it,
Onslaught.
I thought it was gonna be Onslaught. Yeah,
I was thinking Onslaught too. Yeah. So, but it's a cool twist. I like it.
It was fun. Again, like maybe in this case, like unlike Future State, these as two-parters would have been great.
Yeah. And that takes us to Heroes Are Born number 4.
Oh, man.
Written by Jason Aaron, drawn by James Sticco, Ed McGuinness, and Mark Morales, and colored by Matt Wilson, with Corey Petit doing the lettering. So our first story focuses on Doc Spectrum, and basically is like, hey, look, he's Green Lantern. So basically the whole thing. And again, we start to see this awful, awful side of the Squadron, where they're like, we're American, and we're going to do what it takes. And it's just like, holy shit. And obviously it's done intentionally.
Yeah, no, totally.
You know, but it's just kind of like, oh, it's really uncomfortable, to read. So I love his inner dialogue, by the way. I don't know if you noticed this, but the inner dialogue for Doc Spectrum has a rainbow print in the background of each box. Yeah, that was kind of cool. So so basically every alien race is like, we need to stop Earth. Can you stop Doc Spectrum? And who do they hire? But the fiercest bounty hunter in the universe, Rocket Raccoon, who also has a gun that is Groot, and fires other Groots, which is just ridiculous. Basically, they fight. Doc Spectrum is able to defeat and kill Groot, no less. And Rocket loses his mind, and you find out that he has the Star Brand. And they start fighting, and could you imagine Rocket with the Star Brand in our actual society? That'd be great. But basically, he's like, what do you do? What does the guy whose best friend was a machine gun do with the most powerful weapon in cosmic existence? He makes a gun that shoots stars.
So awesome.
It's so ridiculous. He shoots the star at him. Doc Spectrum slices it in half. And then he reveals that the Cancerverse from Annihilation, he encountered it and trapped it in his gem, so he lets it out and it consumes Rocket Raccoon. He then puts Rocket Raccoon headfirst into a supernova to get him to talk. And then he dies. Then we see a thing where the kid Quasar, who is in the Marvel Universe right now, finds out that Rocket's dead and that he needs to basically get out. And then we get the reveal. This is the first time, really, we get the reveal. We see Doc Spectrum talking to Folk Coulson.
In a cathedral.
In a church. Yeah. In a cathedral, yeah. And he's just, they make reference to it as like, this is the house of the Lord. We can speak freely here. And they're just talking about it. And they're like, sound like someone said that reality's been tampered with. And he's like, I don't know. It sounds like nonsense. And then you look at the collection plate and there's a $10 bill that says, in Mephisto we trust. And then we see the altar and it's a big statue of Mephisto.
God, I love that page so much.
I knew you would. So, and then we see a bit more about Kid Star Brand, which is cool. Yeah. So, that was a cool twist that Mephisto's behind all this.
Right. And I love that. I love this whole this whole year has been just a running gag on the MCU shows that it's always Mephisto since like WandaVision, but it's finally happening in the comics. I bet Marvel was like, fuck, they're ruining it.
They're ruining the surprise. It's not going to be cool now.
But no, this one was super cool. This one was grim in the way where it's just like I was scared of Dr. Spectrum. Whereas like shit, it's like this is a person that can finally reach an American religious person that can go up to the heavens, but then realize that space is just nothing but blasphemy. So he does something about it every time, and just because it's un-American, everything up there is un-American. That to me was just so fucked up and actual scary to just have this man just wielding this much power and have this mentality. It was just like, I hate this so much. But then with the backstory that I like that Wakanda is in space. I like that Wakandan space, and then like with the ship, with like the whole like the way it looks, it's just like this is really cool. Like I'm glad where this is going. Almost like what is Black Panther going to be the Darkhawk? Because like the wings kind of look like it.
Or Nova.
Oh yeah, the Nova. Yeah, you're right. Because
it's
supposed to the DC spin, not a What If on someone else. But yeah, no.
Maybe it'll tie into What If, and he'll be Star-Lord.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Because they mentioned Quill's not Star-Lord.
Right. He Rocket mentions Quill as an old man, and it's like something else. But yeah, honestly, I was kind of scared of this issue. Just the way being in the psyche of Dr. Spectre was just like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah, he's just like, America, fuck everybody else. And I'm like, oh, God, I lived in Texas. I know what this is like. So, all right, we got 2 books left. New Mutants number 18.
Oh, man. Yeah, where do you go from here?
Yeah, that's the correct reaction, Josue. Written by Vita Ayala, drawn by Rod Reese, letter by Travis Lanham. Okay.
A lot to unpack.
There's a lot, and it's kind of really sad. So they deal with the fact that Karma's brother is in her head, and he's basically been merged with her psyche. Mm-hmm. And basically they found a way to fix that, which is if she goes through the Crucible, they can bring them both back separately. And, of course, there's always the normal Crucible questions that we don't want to ask. Well, should we be doing this? Is this right? Is it an affront to God?
Yeah.
So... But also, at the same time, it's like, there's a moment where she's like, what if I'm different? What if with him gone, I'm completely different? What if she's doubting if it'll even work correctly,
Mm-hmm.
So, but she decides to go through the Crucible, and she picks Danny to be her person to fight in the Crucible. Yeah. We're also dealing with the fallout of the other side of it, which is all the young kids hang out with the Shadow King, and he's teaching them to do bad things, basically. And Scout doesn't want them doing it, and she's trying her best to like talk to them. And I love that she went to Warpath and the interaction he had.
Oh
with
my
her.
God, yes!
Like he's such a good big brother. Like he's the best. So, but he basically tells her like, hey, like you're going to do what you're going to do. You know what you're about. It's your thing. And he's like, I only asked this once. Do you need help? Do you want someone to back you up? She's like, no. And he's like, all right, well, let me know.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's the best. He's the best.
And it's funny because like she's like, okay, I want to ask this, but I already know what your reaction is going to be. But of course, it's like, it's not the reaction she was expecting when she's like, wait, you're not going to try and stop me? And then, yeah, it's like everything you just said that he says. It's like, yeah, Warpath is the best.
Yeah. So we cut back to the Crucible. Karma's not taking it seriously. Mm-hmm. She's hesitating, and Danny basically punches her in the face to make her do it.
Palms her in the face. Gets it right in the fucking nose.
And then we get to see the kids. Again, they're arguing about body swapping into a dead body, which is not going to end well. Like, somehow, like, at all.
Yeah.
And then, again, Scout tries to stop them, and Wolfsbane, of all people, shows up and basically takes her to the Shadow King to discuss this and be like, like, I'll leave you to it. Share your fears. Mm-hmm. And, yeah. And then back in the Crucible, they do the awesome samurai moment where they both charge each other with a blade. There's a splash of blood, and then Karma spits up blood, falls over. Danny holds her, and Karma says, if I have to die, I'd be lying if I said I was sorry this is the last thing I see. It's like, it's like, I'm so tired, Danny. You can rest now. And then they bring her back, and they're chanting her name. And that's where we leave off. So I'm assuming it was successful with her brother. We didn't see him.
No, we didn't see him, so but I'm pretty sure she was going to be up on the queue first, knowing who he was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for sure it worked, since you're your own woman again, is what Storm says. So it's like, we have to take that into consideration at least.
Yeah. That leads us to our last book.
No, just a quick pointing out, like, during the Crucible, Danny using two, like, just broken arrows as daggers. Gosh, it's so fucking hard. I fucking love her so much.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so last book, X-Men number 20.
Oh, man.
Written by Jonathan Hickman.
God, we are so fucked.
Drawn by Francesco Mobili, colored by Sonny Go and lettered by Clayton Cowles. So this is a Mystique issue. And basically, Orcus, the whole people that started this fucking shit with the Sentinel factory around the sun. And it's Mystique's job to take care of them. And Charles and Magneto are like, yeah, if you take care of them, we'll bring Destiny back. And she's like, you promise? And they're like, yeah, as long as you succeed, then we'll do it. And it's like, all right. And so she goes there, she goes to Forge, he makes her a miniature black hole producer. She goes up, she basically gets on the station. She's sitting there in disguise, and she sees the birth of Nimrod.
Yeah.
And it's actually a dude, the dude we saw die in House of X. And he's like, oh, he's still got his personality and stuff. He's talking to his wife. And he looks over and is like, hey, that's a mutant, because he's a sentinel. And they're like, she's like, fuck. So she throws down the black, the black hole generator and runs. He just creates a duplicate of himself to run after her. And then he's like, I need to get rid of this. I can teleport it out. And like, but you'll be destroyed. He's like, well, I'll just make a duplicate of myself. But every duplicate he makes that he doesn't reabsorb, he might lose bits of himself. Mm-hmm. And so he does it. And what does he lose? He loses himself in the very first thing. But he does save the station. So that means Mystique fails.
She's being blasted
brutally,
back.
Yeah, they brutally murder her, basically, and throw her back through the portal to Krakoa. And Charles and Magneto find her. They bring her back. And they're like, what happened? They're like, you backed up my mind. You know what happened? It's like, we wanted to hear you say it. I failed. It's online. Nimrod's online. And they're like, this changes things. And they're like, yeah, it's no putting off. She's like, wait, what about Irene? And there's that moment where they both sit there, and then Charles goes, what about
Charles? Fuck.
What in the fuck is happening? And then there's what we find out is a prophecy from Destiny to Mystique before she died. There will be an island, not the first, but the last. This place will seem to be a hope for our kind. When those days come, remember these words, bring me back. If you cannot, if they will not, then burn that place to the ground. And then, and then we see that Moira is reading the diaries of Destiny.
Oh, okay.
Which played a major part in Extreme X-Men, by the way.
Oh, okay. So, and also, I'm pretty,
and then we
they're there to report that, Nimrod, right?
Yeah. And then we turn the page.
Dude.
Oh my god, dude. This fall, Inferno.
And you can see, when you see the little graphs, the little tiny ones, it just autumn, winter, spring, summer. But then down here, the books of Destiny.
Yep.
So at this point, I can only believe it. Yeah, okay, that scene right there, Charles and Eric just being complete monsters, or just being cold-hearted assholes. At this point, I have no other reason to believe that it's Mystique that's fucking up the whole trial thing that we're leading up to the trial. It's Mystique. Mystique has been doing this.
I thought that before this issue, to be honest. So I was kind of leaning towards that. As I'm like, well, it's probably Mystique.
Yeah, she's gonna bring the whole fucking thing down.
Yeah.
Oh god, it was a good time, I guess, at Krakoa. Or also, what? Bring me back. If not, burn it all to the ground. Or just what is that that we need you for the island to succeed or to survive? But then again, what?
And then the Diaries of Destiny also change. If you change something, then the future could be wrong. Again, that's something that's dealt with pretty heavily in Extreme X-Men, which is one of my favorite runs of X-Men. Yeah.
But then
it's all about gathering the diaries, basically.
And then what I want to get to, and then leading to the side is what does Moira know that the reason why we shouldn't have precogs? And it's can we just know both? The reason why to both, so we can just decide for ourselves what we should do.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know. Again, a great week of comics, but fuck, I don't know.
Yeah. So that's a lot, guys. We're gonna let you go because it's getting late, but. Before we go, Josue, I can't believe I didn't think about talking about this there in the news. We got some big announcements just 2 days ago. We finally have the rest of the Sandman cast.
Oh, yes.
And I just want to say to all of you out there who have an issue with this cast for the reasons you think you do, fuck off. No one cares about your opinion. I don't care if death is black, because it's the concept of death.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a race. I know you had a crush on a cute goth girl, and I'm sorry that you don't get to have that live action. I don't really care.
But this is also for the reads, right? Or this for live action, right?
It's for live action.
Okay, fucking cool. Yeah, okay.
And Kirby Howell Baptiste is playing Death. Do you know her by chance?
It's the from Infinity Train, right? Yeah,
yes,
dude.
It is. It's our girl from Infinity Train. She also played. She was in The Good Place.
So she also brought it up that she also plays a small role in Barry, and she has a fantastic scene of like what the reason why they all get into acting, and she has this premonition, and the punchline is about seeing a horse, and she's fucking fantastic. She's gonna nail this.
Mm-hmm. And I also want to give a shout out to the guy who replied to this because they included everybody's pronouns on the announcement. And they pointed out the person that is they, them. They pointed out, I don't need to know his pronouns. And I said, you clearly do, because you just said his.
Oh my God,
like, you dumb fuck.
The fact that Desire is non-binary, going by they, them. It should be.
If you've read the book.
When I read the book, I just like, oh my God, this person has like, Sochi used to work with somebody named Ness and had the biggest crush on them. And when the first time I read Sandman, I was like, oh shit, this is fucking Ness. And it's like, yeah, it should have. And then you see pictures of who they're playing, like their actor pictures, and it's like, oh my God, this is fucking Desire. Like top to bottom, this is gonna be fucking awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, so we just want to go ahead and say we are fully supporting of the cast.
Yeah.
And as always, you guys know us by now. Diversity is a good thing, and stop fucking fighting it. So, cool. Thank you so much for joining us on We Have Issues. You can always check us out at Geek Elite Media on Twitter, as well as geekelitemedia.com. For us, specifically, you can check out the Twitter for this show at WHI Podcast. You can check me at WHI Podcast Keith, our producer Liz at WHI Podcast Liz, and Josue at Josue Reads Josue. You can also check out our sister show at Jukebox Vertigo. This week we're going to be talking about the best covers, the covers that are better than the original. And it was a great show. We've already recorded it. Can't wait for you guys to hear it. And as always, we thank you for taking nearly 3 hours of your day out to listen to two idiots talk about comics, and we really appreciate that. Have a wonderful day. And don't forget to geek out.
This concludes our broadcast.